A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
The Fabulous Dr. Tweedy, written by Robert Riley Crutcher, featuring Harry Von Zell and starring Frank Morgan. Dr. Thaddeus Q. Tweedy, Dean of Ben at Potts College, has taught his last class for the day and is relaxing at home, playing a Mozart melody on his bassoon.
Dr. Tweedy.
Well, good afternoon, Timothy. It's a pleasure to see your great, big, bright, beaming face.
I bet you're just saying that.
Of course I am.
I'm all bundled up in my woolies and I want to throw snowballs. Can Welby come out and play?
Timothy, do you think it's dignified for the houseboy of the Phi Beta Quota fraternity to be seen playing in the snow?
Oh, I throw snowballs for exercise.
Yeah.
Didn't I ever tell you I'm a prize fighter?
Yeah.
I've had 87 fights so far. Not many guys last that long. They go crazy. You know, punch drunk. And when they're really gone, they hear bells all the time. Answer the phone, Tweedy.
That wasn't the phone, Timothy. It was the bell for the 5th round.
Oh, it was you. Hey, let me at him. I'm going to go in that ring and I'm going to knock his head off.
No, you've had enough. He fouled you twice. I'm throwing in the towel.
That referee is blind,
Yeah, well, you'll find Welby in Colonel Jackson's backyard. He's helping him build a pistol range.
Oh, thanks, Dr. Tweedy. You're the best second I ever had. I'll go right on over there.
Yes, well, have a good time and keep your mittens dry.
Somewhere over the rainbow. Oh, hello, Colonel Jackson.
Good afternoon, Timothy.
Hello, Welby.
Hiya, Timothy. Look, I'm busy. Goodbye.
Oh, Welby, don't be mean to me. Let's go build a snow woman. It's so much fun to stack 'em up.
No. Let's go down to the corner and face the main. We can whistle at the real thing. It's a windy day, you know. There'll be plenty of tomatoes blowing by.
Just a moment, gentlemen. Welby?
Yes, sir.
Did I hear you say you were going down to the corner to whistle at tomatoes?
Yeah, Colonel. You want to come along?
Welby Skinkle, don't you ever refer to the fair sex as tomatoes in my presence.
Yes, sir.
Women are the loveliest, most precious things on earth. They ought to be sheltered and protected. I pity you if I ever catch you whistling at a woman, Welby.
You stop picking on Welby. Did I ever tell you I'm a prize fighter?
Did I ever tell you I'm a dead shot?
Well,
And to put it in your terms, Timothy, I've had 87 duels so far.
Yeah, but
Not many men can last that long. Yes, sir. They're certainly taken dead. You know, deceased. And when they're really gone, I buy them lilies. Do I make myself clear, Timothy?
Timothy, this is one phone we ain't waiting to answer. Come on.
Dr. Tweedy. Dr. Tweedy, sir.
Hello, Colonel. Did Welby get the bell installed in your pistol range?
Yes, indeed. It's all finished.
Well,
would you care to join me in a couple of shots, sir?
well, I don't mind if I do.
Here's your pistol, sir.
Oh, pistol.
Dr. Tweedy. I think you'd better speak to Welby regarding his attitude toward women. If I ever caught a man being disrespectful or ungentlemanly toward a lady, I'd pick up my pistol and I'd...
You're absolutely right, Colonel. I'd do the same thing. I'd pick up my pistol and I'd...
Dr. Tweedy, sir. Look at the rear tire on my car.
Goodbye, Colonel. Well, Mary and Sidney, I didn't expect you home so early.
Oh, Sidney had a little accident. We were jitterbugging at the malt shop, and he lost two suspender buttons.
You can't dance holding up your pants.
Well, you better sit down, Sidney.
Oh, I'm all right now, Dad. Mary gave me a couple of pins.
Oh, she did? You'd better sit down, Mary.
Oh, I'm all right. I took the pins out of my corsage.
Oh.
Well, I'll go make a pot of hot chocolate for all of us.
Yes. Well, Sidney, tomorrow night's the big night. You and Mary will be formally engaged. You're not nervous, are you?
No, Dad.
Well, stop biting your fingernails.
I'm worried. I'm still $2 short on the down payment for the ring.
Yeah, well, then just take a little look into this box.
Gosh. Gee, holy smoke, a ring. How much was the down payment on that?
A lifetime of happiness, Sidney. My mother wore it for 40 years. I hope it'll bring you and Mary the same kind of love and understanding my father and mother had.
Oh, it belonged to them?
That's right.
And you're giving it to me?
Yes.
But, Dad, I'm your adopted son. I mean, there's a difference. You don't have to give
Sidney,
me...
I didn't adopt you because I wanted an adopted son. I did it because I wanted a son. Here's the ring.
Thanks, Dad. Then you really approve of Mary, too, huh?
Oh, yes, Sidney. When you two get married, I'll have a son and a daughter. And then pretty soon I'll have a... You'll have... I'm too young! I'm too young to be a grandfather.
Now, here we are, 3 cups of steaming hot chocolate with floating marshmallows.
Yeah, thank you.
Move over, Sidney. I want to sit beside you.
But there isn't room enough in this chair.
Oh, yes, there is. Of course, it's a tight squeeze, Sidney.
Dad, you look kind of sleepy.
I'm wide awake and I'm not going to bed. It's too early. Go ahead. Show her the ring.
Sidney, that ring. You've got our engagement ring.
Dad gave it to me. It belonged to his mother.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, Dr. Tweedy, you're the most wonderful man in the world.
Oh.
I've never been so happy in my life. Oh, Sidney. Oh, Dr. Tweedy.
Oh, dear. On second thought, I believe I will go to bed.
Doc, what a clothes horse you are.
Well, thank you, Welby, but finish tying my tie. It's almost time to go.
Yes, the door. I'll get it, Doc.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Doc, announcing Mrs. Apopolis, Esquire.
Tweedle, my Tweedle, here's that gorgeous, ravishing Apopolis in person.
Mrs. Apopolis, that black silk jersey evening gown is a magnificent engineering achievement.
For that compliment, Tweedle, I could squeeze you to pieces. Come here.
Please, Mrs. Apopolis. You'll crush my fresh white dicky. Mrs. Apopolis, please control yourself. You know that Sidney and Mary are having their engagement announced tonight.
Yes, I know, Tweedle Tootsie. I'll be there. Love, love, love. I love it. But most of all, I love not wearing a tight girdle, which is choking me. Tonight, I'm footloose and loose all over. You're looking at a happy greet.
Mrs. Apopolis, I must admit it, you certainly look chic.
Who's chic? I never felt better in my life. Look me nothing but curves. Gorgeous. Today is the day for love. I'm kissing all the boys. Hold still, Tweedle.
No. No.
There, are you unconscious, Pete?
Mrs. Apophis, you're too free with your osculations.
Now, wait a minute, Sport. Not so fast. What's this oscillation?
Well, it's merely a kiss, like this.
Oh, Tweedle, what a thrill. My heart is beating like a trap hammer. Oh, what technique. I won't wash this hand for a week.
Excuse me, Mrs. Apophis.
Oh, another woman, huh? Good night, Tweedle.
Oh, good evening, Dr. Tweedy. I'm one of your students. Of course, I guess you never noticed poor little old me.
Oh, yes, of course. I remember you perfectly, Miss...
Culpepper, Georgia Genevieve, Culpepper.
Georgia.
I just love to talk to you in private, Dr. Tweedy.
Yes. Culpepper. Come right this way to my study. Now, what seems to be the trouble, Miss Culpepper?
Call me Georgia. All my close gentlemen friends call me Georgia.
Yeah, they do. Georgia. I mean, Miss Culpepper.
Dr. Tweedy, I'm going to bare my little old heart to you.
You are?
I'm in love. Head over heels in love with the handsomest man this side of Savannah.
Well, that should make you happy. What's wrong with that?
He doesn't love me.
Yeah.
Look at me. Do you think I'm attractive?
Why, that man must be an idiot.
Dr. Tweedy, you're so sweet. Just as sweet as an apple pan dowdy.
Oh, you can go too.
And you got a twinkle in your eye.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, excuse me, I'm so bold.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, I love this boy. He kissed me once, a tender, passionate kiss that was like a sheet of fire.
Yeah. It's kind of warm in here. I'd better open a window.
Right then and there, I knew I loved him. But he ran off with another woman.
Yeah.
Dr. Tweedy, what am I going to do?
Go after the boy. Fight for your love. Speak up. To the winner goes the spoils. Get him before he spoils.
Dr. Tweedy, you're a genius. Are you sure you're not a Southern man?
You've penetrated my disguise. My advice to you is to get in there and fight for your sheet of fire.
Dr. Tweedy, you made me just as bold as brass. I'm going to douse myself with Scream of Ecstasy perfume and take Sydney away from Mary.
Well,
goodbye.
Mary. You do. Mary, Sydney! Oh, no! I've done it again!
back to Frank Morgan as the fabulous Dr. Tweedy. The silver moonlight falls on pure white snow, and the night is filled with music. Inside the faculty club, beautiful women glide gracefully across the dance floor. Handsome, debonair men look into their eyes with fiery glances.
Oh, Welby, I want to dance.
Well, don't look at me, Timothy.
You know, when I was a prize fighter, I was sure popular with the women. They came from miles around just to feel my muscles.
Yeah, well, we ain't supposed to dance. We're supposed to serve us here punch.
I want you to stay at the door and let me know the minute Miss Culpepper arrives. It's very important.
Yes, okay, Doc. Timothy, you stay here and guard the punch bowl.
Quick, give me a tall glass of punch.
Well, it's just plain orange juice and pineapple juice. There's no punch in it.
Oh, well, never mind. Tweedy!
Oh, good evening, Mr. Potts.
Tweedy, I'm so nervous I can't see straight. I'm scared to death.
Yes? Well, where is Mrs. Potts?
Please, Tweedy, don't bring her up. I'm already upset.
Yeah.
You know I'm announcing my daughter's engagement tonight.
Well, Mr. Potts, you're chairman of the board of trustees. You've made a lot of speeches.
Yes, you're right. I'm being silly. Tweedy, why do you keep staring over towards the door?
Well, I'm looking for a certain young lady, and when I find her, I'm going to take her straight to the library.
Library?
Yes.
Girl?
Yes.
Are you going to read to her?
Oh, there she is. Excuse me, Mr. Potts.
Good evening, Dr. Tweedy. Like you said, I'm going to fight for the man I love.
Oh, no, but...
What do you think of my sheer, strapless evening gown?
Yeah. Well, you'd better not do any fighting in that. Come with me to the library. Miss Culpepper, I want to know everything that has taken place between you and Sidney.
Are you sure you want to know everything?
Well, yes, everything.
Well, it's going to be hard to remember everything because Sidney just makes me swoon.
He does.
Well, let's see now. We were sitting out a dance,
Yes.
and then the lights went out.
Yes, I guess somebody blew a fuse.
And then Sidney kissed me, and my toes curled up. My heart started beating like a tom-tom. I heard beautiful music.
Miss Culpepper, this is absolutely absurd. You can't fall in love with a man just because he kisses you once.
I don't know about other girls, but I can. I always do.
Well, I'm not going to let you make trouble for Mary and Sidney with this romantic rubbish.
Oh, excuse me, Tweedy.
Yeah.
Thought I'd come in for a look. Book.
Dr. Tweedy, you're mean and cruel and heartless.
No,
You've ruined my life.
Oh,
Tweedy, what's been going on here?
Nothing, Mr. Potts. She's just making a big fuss because she got kissed. You can't blame a man for kissing a pretty girl when he has an opportunity.
That's what I keep telling Mrs. Potts.
That kiss was like a sheet of fire.
What?
And now he calls it rubbish.
No, Tweedy. Oh, Mr. Potts, you certainly don't think. You wouldn't. I mean, I'm not the sort. I don't. You do, don't you?
How was it, Tweedy?
Mr. Potts, stop leering. I've got to catch that girl and keep her from talking.
Hey, Dad, what's the rush? Mr. Potts is going to announce our engagement in a few minutes.
Sidney, did you see a Miss Culpepper come rushing out of the library? Or don't you remember her?
Yes, I seem to remember something about her.
Yeah, a blown fuse, perhaps?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
She isn't here tonight, is she? Yeah, I hope.
Uh-huh. And feeling very talkative. It seems you're quite a kisser.
Oh, she told you.
Yes.
Well, what if she tells Mary?
Sidney, why do you think I've been chasing Miss Culpepper?
Dad, I don't like to pry into your business.
That is not the reason. Why did you kiss her anyway? I thought Mary kept you busy enough.
I did it in a weak moment.
Yes.
She asked me to smell the perfume on her earlobes.
Oh, dear.
And then she turned out the lights and put her arms around my neck.
Yeah.
Which way did she go?
Never mind. You go find Mary. You go and find Mary and don't stop dancing until your engagement is announced. Now, Miss Culpepper, you know you don't want to break up two young people who love each other.
Oh, yes, I do.
There's absolutely no reason why you should be so unreasonable.
I'm a woman.
I should have thought of that reason.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? I wish to take this occasion to announce the formal engagement of my daughter Mary to Dr. Tweedy's son, Sidney.
Oh, now my heart is broken in a million little bitty pieces.
Oh, but Miss Culpepper, please now, don't stop crying. You're getting your shoulders all wet. What will people think?
I know what I'm thinking, Dr. Tweedy.
Colonel Jackson. Yes, I was just, Miss Culpepper. This is Colonel Jackson. Colonel Jackson, Mrs. Culpepper. Miss Culpepper.
Miss Georgia Genevieve Culpepper.
Yes, Georgia Genevieve.
I'm pleased to make your acquaintance, Colonel Jackson.
Why, a Southern belle.
Yes, she brings...
Miss Georgia, may I say your beauty is most distracting?
Yes.
Your features are as delicate as a sweet magnolia bud
dear.
shyly opening in the jasmine-scented moonlight.
Here we go.
You remind me of a honeysuckle blossom and Spanish moss gracefully hanging from the cypress trees and swaying in the soft, warm breeze.
Oh, dear.
I'm from the South, you know.
What a coincidence.
Dr. Tweedy, sir, what have you done to this delicate young flower?
I'll tell you what he's done. His son Sidney kissed me, and now he's engaged to another woman.
Oh, Miss Georgia, allow me to assume the protection of your honor.
Oh, slush, a kiss doesn't mean anything.
Maybe not to a Yankee, sir. But where Miss Culpepper and I come from, a kiss is either a proposal or an insult.
Oh, dear, to think that millions of women all over the world are being insulted tonight.
Dr. Tweedy, sir, since Sidney is now engaged to Mary, I must consider this kiss nothing but an insult.
Yeah.
I demand satisfaction.
Sidney kissed her. That's already. He's had a satisfaction.
Dr. Tweedy, sir, you know exactly how I feel about women. When I catch a man being disrespectful to the fair sex, I have no recourse but to get my dueling pistol.
Very well, I'll shoot it out with you. But this time you can fix your own flat tire. Miss Culpepper, surely there must be some other man that you could find interesting.
Well, to be frank with you, the only real man I met since I've been here is the Colonel.
Well, thank you, ma'am. I'm your obedient servant.
Miss Georgia Genevieve Culpepper. You mean you're cottoning to the Colonel? Balls of fire.
I find him mighty tantalizing.
Great Scott, sure enough, hush my mouth. You're right, honey child. The Colonel is a mighty handsome man. Not a little old Yankee like my son Sidney. You want an older man, and Sidney is so immature.
Dr. Tweedy, sir, I think you're going too far.
Yeah, I'm way ahead of Dr. Tweedy. Excuse me, I'm going to put on some more of my perfume. I'm saving every dance for you, Colonel. Don't go away.
Now, see what you've done, Dr. Tweedy. How am I going to get out of what you got me into?
Well, that's obvious. You said she was a delicate flower. She should bruise easily. You were gentle with her. Do the opposite. Caveman stuff.
Oh. You mean like Humphrey Bogart?
Yes, like Humphrey Bogart.
I'm all ready, Colonel. Shall we dance?
Come here, sugar.
What did you say?
I said, come here, sugar. I got a better plan. Why waste that big old moon's time? Let's get to that convertible and start necking, baby.
How dare you? Colonel Jackson, I thought you were a Southern gentleman, but I see you're nothing but a Yankee eager-beaver. Good night.
Oh! Parting is such sweet sorrow. You're right, Colonel. She was a delicate young flower. Now let's see if we can get some beefsteak for that eye.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
This is the family doctor. Just you keep away from hornets after this.
Don't you worry none about that, Doc. I sure will.
Yep. Just make sure they're honeybees instead of hornets.
Thank you, Doc. This here mud you slapped on my face and hands sure seems to help a heap.
You drop round tomorrow afternoon about 4:30, Hank, and we'll have another look at you.
Well, so long, Doc. How much obliged? Oh, hello there, Mattie.
Good morning, Mr. Hazen. Good morning, Dr. Adams.
Morning, Mattie. You next, are you?
Well, I think I am. I should be. I've been waiting long enough.
Well, come on in. Sit down in that big chair. Hank Hazen's had a little trouble with his bees. He don't see as good as he used to.
Appears to me as how he'd see better if he weren't so vain. Verily, every man at his best state is altogether vanity. See, thou, that's what the good book says.
It does, eh? Doesn't say nothing about the women, eh?
Not in that passage, it don't.
Vain, eh? How do you figure out that Hank's vain, Mattie?
Well, he won't wear them spectacles, the gold-rimmed ones that you sent away for him, Burr. Says folks will think he's getting decrepit. Why, it's getting so he can't even read the court records he read.
You and Hank had another falling out?
Well, what did we have? That's our business, ain't it? And nobody else's.
Yeah, that's right. You're absolutely correct. Well, Mattie, what's the trouble this time?
Oh, Dr. Adams, that misery's come back in my neck and shoulder again.
It has, eh? What you been eating?
Just what you told me. Half a lemon and hot water in the morning, an apple and some celery at noon, and meat and potatoes just once a day. That's all, and nothing more.
Nothing more?
Well, I did go to sociable last Wednesday.
What'd you eat there?
Well, of course, I had to enter into the festivities, like.
Oh, yes,
and,
of course.
Well, they had some of Mrs. Phillips's lamb and curry.
Uh-huh.
And some of Mrs. Rankin's splendid watermelon pickle.
Uh-huh.
And some of Mrs. Mason's fresh homemade strawberry ice cream. And, of course, I took one of my angel food cakes with the boiled ice, and you know, Dr. Adams, the kind you like so well.
Yeah, I know. But you see, Mattie, I don't have any misery in my neck and shoulder.
No,
Mattie Clark, that's the trouble with you and people like you. You get something the matter with you, then you expect the doctor to fix you up all by himself. Gosh, to Friday. He can't do it, Mattie. Why, the human system just like that automobile of mine sitting out there in Maple Street. I've been driving that automobile for 6 years, and it's as good today as it was the day I bought it. Why? Because I don't go out and put a lot of coal oil and ether in the gas tank. Just 'cause I think it'll be entering into the festivities like.
No,
sorry, Bob. And you can't do it with the human system, neither.
No.
Well, I'll give you some of these pellets, and then you stop into the drugstore on your way home and get Pete May to give you some more of that same liniment. And then, Mattie Clark, you see that you stay with that diet list I gave you.
Well, all right, Dr. Adams, but Oh, look.
What's the matter?
There she comes.
Who?
Judge Sam Windsor's girl, Faith.
Well, what's so startling about that?
Oh, Dr. Adams, ain't you heard?
No, can't say they have.
Why, it's all over town. It swept Cedarton just like the gales of Galilee.
Mattie Clark, what are you talking about?
Well, you know Faith Windsor's the treasurer of a Sunday school class, the daughters of Naomi.
Yes, I heard about that.
Well, they were all getting ready for the class picnic next Saturday up to Miller's Lake, and what do you think?
I can't.
The money's disappeared.
What?
Yes. All the class funds has just been swept off the face of the earth, so to speak. And I ain't one to carry tales.
Oh, of course not.
But just at the same time, Faith Windsor came out with a brand new pink organdy. She wore it to the sociable last Wednesday.
Well, hasn't Sam Windsor enough money to buy his daughter a new dress if he wants to?
No, of course, if he wants to.
Stuff Friday, Maddie Clark. What are you trying to say?
Well, I ain't one to...
Are you trying to say that little Faith Windsor stole that money?
Of course, I don't know that she did, but it looks a mighty suspicious to me. She had the money to her house, didn't she? The money disappeared from the face of the earth, didn't it? And then she comes out with a new organdy.
It isn't true. You're lying, Miss Clark, and you know it.
Now, Faith.
Well, it's you that started all this terrible talk about me, and not one bit of it's true. Do you hear? Not one bit of it. You know I didn't steal that money, but you've got everybody in Cedarton thinking I did, and someday I'm going to prove I didn't do it. And then you'll see what I did.
Well, I never... What's this younger generation coming to, talking to the elders like we was dumb animals? Well, I think I'd better be getting down to the drugstore. I don't want to delay putting on that liniment.
Here's your pellets, Maddie.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you, Dr. Adams. I most forgot them. Well, good day, Dr. Adams.
Good day, Maddie. I hope your misery is better. The one in your neck and shoulders, I mean.
Thank you kindly. Good day.
Not one to carry tales. Gosh, to Friday.
Hello, Doc.
Oh, hello, Judge Windsor.
Going into the drugstore?
Yep, I have to give Pete May some instructions about a prescription.
Well, come in with me. I'll buy you root beer.
Oh, all right. Don't mind if I do. 'Tis might hot.
Go ahead. I'm right with you.
Hi, Doc. Morning, Judge
Windsor. Hello, Pete.
Well, what'll it be, gents?
Well, I've decided to go hog wild and spend a nickel on Doc Adams. 2 root beers, Pete.
2 root beers, right.
You haven't seen your daughter lately in the last hour or so, have you, Sam?
Faith? No. Why?
Well, she was coming over for pennyroyal, I think. She and the daughters of Naomi was to have a picnic next Saturday, I understand, and said something about the mosquitoes being pretty bad right now at Miller's Lake.
Oh? Well, no, I haven't seen her.
There you are, gents. Ice cold and a nickel a glass.
Thanks, Pete. Well, Doc, here's how.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
You wanting anything else, Judge? My telephone's ringing.
No, that's all for now, Pete. Here's your dime.
Thanks.
The girls ought to have a fine time on their shindig. Beautiful place, Miller's Lake. Beautiful. Been thinking about buying some property up there. Think it'll double in value in the next 5 years.
Oh, Judge, it's for you, Mrs. Windsor.
Oh, thanks, Pete. Be right back, Doc. It's my wife. Probably forgot to tell me to bring home a watermelon.
You've been busy lately, Doc?
Hello?
No. What? People in Cedarton are all pretty healthy.
Too healthy for you and me, eh, Doc? Oh, of course, I didn't mean that.
I'll bring him right with me. Doc. Doc, you've got to come up to the house with me right away.
Oh, well, what's the matter?
Faith, she's very sick all of a sudden. Come on, Doc. We'll go in my car. It's right around the corner.
Oh, good morning, Judge Windsor.
Morning. Come on, Doc. Please, hurry.
Morning, Pete. What's the trouble up the Windsors?
Well, now, that's too bad.
What is it, Pete? What is it?
Yeah? Oh, why, Mrs. Windsor just phoned the judge and told him Faith's awful sick. Got sick all of a sudden, she said.
Faith's sick? Oh, well, all of a sudden? Well, I wonder what could be the trouble.
There. Now, that mustard and water and that white of egg did the trick. Now, you'll be all right, Faith.
Faith, honey, your mother found it.
What?
Your mother found the money.
She did? Oh, I'm glad.
There now, Faith. Now, you're going to be all right.
Sure she is. As right as right. And she's going to have the best time on that picnic that any girl's ever had anywhere.
You don't mind telling where Mrs. Windsor found the money, do you, Sam?
No, I don't mind. Young Sam Jr. took it.
Sammy? Why?
He was just playing a prank on you, Faith. Just like a younger brother, he and some of the other boys decided it would be fun to hide those funds. So Faith and the girls couldn't go to their picnic.
Oh, I see.
And then, when they found out what people around town were saying about Faith, they were scared to give it back. But just as soon as I can get around to it, I've got a prank I'm going to play on him with a hairbrush. Yes, sir.
Well, Faith, I'll drop around again this evening just to see how you're getting along. To fix you up so as you can eat anything you want to on that picnic Saturday.
Thank you, Dr. Adams.
Can you find your way out by yourself, Doc?
Oh, yes. After 18 years of coming around here, I should. Well, goodbye
right.
now. See you later.
Oh, well, we meet again, Dr. Adams.
Oh, yes, Maddie. We meet again. Small world.
Dr. Adams, I heard that Faith was ailing.
Yeah, she was. She'll be all right now.
Anything serious?
Well, might have been. She ate some rat poison.
Rat poison?
Yep. She felt so bad about the gossip that was going on around town. You know, about the money.
Oh, yes, the money.
They found it, though.
They did? Where was it?
Young Sammy had it hid just as a joke.
Oh, well, I'm so glad they found it. I'm glad, too, that Faith's feeling better.
Yeah. If you don't mind my saying so, Mattie, I think you should be glad.
Well, after all, Dr. Adams, I was just trying to do my duty as I saw it.
Duty?
After all, the scripture says, thou shalt not steal.
Oh, I see. Yes, that's the 8th commandment, if I remember rightly.
Yes, the 8th commandment.
Let me see. Do you recollect the 9th commandment, Mattie? I just don't seem to recall it for the minute.
The 9th? What? Oh, yes, I remember it. It says, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Oh, yes, that's right. False witness.
Oh, Dr. Adams, I'm so sorry.
Are you, Mattie? That's good.
Doctor, I ain't never going to talk about anybody in Cedarton again. Never.
I'm pretty sure you won't, Mattie. And say, you'd best get on home now and put some of that liniment on your misery.
Yes, Doctor.
The one in your neck and shoulder, I mean. I guess the other one will disappear of its own accord. This is the family doctor. I'll be in to see you again right soon. Goodbye.
The Prudential Family Hour of Stars.
Each week, the Prudential Insurance Company of America adds a new star to the Prudential Family Hour of Stars in a series of radio plays written or adapted by Hollywood's finest writers with the music of Carmen Dragon. Today we present the story of a novelist, an original radio play written by Walter Newman. Our title, I Give You Maggie. Our star, Mr. John Payne. Our play opens in New York City on an October afternoon. In the living room of a penthouse overlooking Central Park, a cocktail party is being held in honor of a prize-winning young novelist, Tom Paget. Two women, Mrs. Paget and Daphne Lewis, literary editor, are leaving the crowded room.
There. That's better. Now at least we can hear ourselves think. Have you ever heard anything noisier than a literary cocktail party, Mrs. Paget?
Well, this is the first I ever attended.
Oh, really? Well, here, you sit here on the couch, and I'll take this armchair. Cigarette?
Oh, no, thank you, Miss. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, not at all. Daphne Lewis, Mrs. Paget, assistant literary editor of the Times.
Oh, yes, of course.
I don't usually do this sort of thing, but we're all so delighted with your husband's work that I thought it might make a rather good column for next Sunday, if I interviewed you. The woman behind the author, you know, that sort of thing.
Well, I'm afraid it won't be very interesting.
Darling, of course it will. Though, frankly, it's not my personal dish of tea. Are you comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
Ready? Oh, no, wait, let me get a pencil out of my bag. There we are. Now, when did you and Tommy marry, Mrs. Paget?
Maggie, sit down. You're pacing a groove right across the living room.
Is my mouth on straight, Nona?
Oh, you look adorable. Relax.
There he is!
Tell you, I don't like it. Young girl ought to bring her boyfriends around so her parents can see what...
Harry.
Oh.
Tom, my father and mother.
Good evening, Mrs. Banner.
Good evening.
Mrs. Banner.
And my sister Nona.
Hello, Nona.
Hello.
Maggie tells
us.
Maggie tells us you've knocked around a lot.
Some.
That's very interesting. What have you done, Tom?
Well, I ran away from an orphanage about 12 years ago when I was 14. I was a road kid for 3 years.
Road kid?
That's a young hobo. Rode the rods and boxcars all over this country and Canada. Slept under bridges, begged from door to door. I've been jailed as a bum 20, 30 times.
Well, what else?
Oh, not much of anything.
What are you doing now?
Just sitting here.
Well, no. I mean...
Well, I read a lot. That's how I met Maggie at the library. I guess she told you that. I'm trying to learn how to write. I think I'm going to be a writer.
I suppose you've put aside a lot of money. Keep you going until you begin to sell your stories.
I got $5.
Not very much, is it?
No. In fact, after I take Maggie out for a walk tonight and buy her a soda, I'll have just about enough left over for a marriage license in the morning.
What?
Maggie!
That's all right with you, isn't it, Maggie? I haven't made a mistake, have I?
No, Tom. No, you haven't made a mistake.
But what are you going to live on?
That will be a problem.
I make $35 a week.
Well, there now. We can easily manage on that, Mrs. Banner.
You're going to let her support you?
Hold it, Bertha. Maggie, look. You're dead set on this.
Dead set, Papa. We're going to be married.
Going against us, Maggie.
Not against you, Papa. Just in a different direction.
If you marry this tramp, you can get out of this house tonight and stay out.
Papa.
No, I mean it.
Oh, give me your hand, Tom. Oh, I'm all shaky.
Here, kid. Squeeze it. Squeeze hard. Ready, Maggie?
Ready, Tom.
Now, when did you and Tommy marry, Mrs. Paget?
July 17th, 1937.
Mm-hmm. I see. And how did it come about?
Oh, he just asked me, and I said yes.
How unusual. Well, don't mind me. So you married a budding genius. Was it difficult at first? How did you find it? Bitter? Sweet?
Maggie,
Yes?
I'm finished for the day. Supper ready?
Ready. It's been on the table for 3 hours.
Where, you kid? In the closet?
No, I'm here in the kitchenette.
How you managed to disappear in a one-room apartment is something... I'm sorry about supper, honey. You didn't wait up for me, did you?
Of course I waited for you.
Oh, you should have eaten. Hey, what are the cake and candles for? Is it my birthday?
No, it's not your birthday. Oh, Tom, you've forgotten.
Forgot? Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't forget.
Yes,
Honestly,
you did.
I didn't, babe. Honest, I have a present. I have a present for you right in my pocket. Wait a second. Here, take it.
What is it?
A poem. Can you read my writing?
For Maggie on our first wedding anniversary.
Go ahead. Read it.
If I could write the beauty of your eyes, and in fresh numbers number all your graces, the age to come would say, this poet lies. Such heavenly touches, ne'er touched earthly face.
Like it?
Oh, Tom, it's beautiful. It's better than Shakespeare.
Heck, honey, it is Shakespeare. I didn't have time to compose one, so I copied it. It says what I mean, anyway.
Oh, Tom, it's the nicest present.
Here, give me a kiss. You're a kissable wench, Maggie. I think I'll renew my option on you for another year.
Oh, Tom, I'm so happy.
Me too. I turned out about 10 pages today, and the character I told you about last night, Jonesy, he's really beginning to come alive.
Each week it gets better and better. Do you realize we'll be on our vacation this time next week?
Maggie.
Our first vacation together, 1 week
Dear.
of it. 1 week of no
Maggie.
subway and no office and no ironing and no dishes.
Maggie, I meant to
We
tell
simply
you.
toss our $40 into the hotel owner's lap, and in return he gives
Honey.
us 7 days of paradise.
But there is no $40 anymore.
7 days. What?
We don't have $40. Only 12.
Oh, I don't understand.
Well, after you left for the office this morning, I broke the typewriter. The man at the shop said it would cost $18 to fix and it would take 10 days, and I rented the typewriter I'm using for $1 a day. 18 plus 10 equals 28, and 28 from 40 leaves... no vacation.
No vacation?
No.
Couldn't you have used a pencil?
Oh, Maggie, please don't cry, honey. Please, listen. Someday, maybe pretty soon, I'll finish the book and sell it for a barrel of money. Then we'll head for the beach at Acapulco, or even Rio. And we'll not stay 7 days, but 7 months, or as long as you like. And when we come back... Oh, don't cry, Maggie. Here, blow. I know you've looked forward to this vacation, and I know how it is. Maggie, someday I'll propose a toast, and I'm going to say... Ladies and gentlemen of the Pulitzer Prize Committee, members of the press, friends, in accepting the award for literature, I do not accept it for myself, but for the person who really deserves all the credit accruing to my book. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Maggie.
In just a moment, we'll return to I Give You Maggie, starring John Payne. Now, Act Two of I Give You Maggie, starring Mr. John Payne.
So you married a budding genius, didn't you, Mrs. Paget? Was it difficult at first? How did you find it? Bitter? Sweet?
A little of both, I guess. A little of both. It had its compensations, though.
Yes, it had its compensations. My leading questions don't seem to lead anywhere, do they, Mrs. Paget? Well, never mind. Things didn't always move too smoothly, did they?
Maggie. Maggie, where are you?
I'm here.
Guess what?
What? What is it?
Can anybody hear us?
No, what is it? Don't tease me.
Well, I was walking down the block just now.
Yes?
And all of a sudden, down at my feet, I saw...
What?
This.
$1 bill. Found it? That's wonderful.
I'll bet you were beginning to think I'd never be a breadwinner. Well, Mrs. Paget, instead of walking around the park this afternoon, as we do every Sunday, we're going to observe the rites of spring.
With $1?
I'm afraid you lack creative vision. When I look at this dollar, do you know what I see?
George Washington's picture.
That's the trouble with women, no imagination. I see 2 round trips to Coney Island, 20 cents. 2 box beers, 20 cents. 2 hot dogs, with or without mustard, 20 cents. And 2 rides on a merry-go-round, 20 cents.
That's only 80 cents. What about the other 20?
Well, the other 20 cents goes back on the sidewalk for the appeasement of tastes far less luxurious than ours. Madam, leave us away.
My leading questions don't seem to lead anywhere, do they, Mrs. Paget? Yeah, oh, never mind. Things didn't always move too smoothly, did they?
No, but we managed somehow.
And all this while, Tommy just kept plugging away at his writing.
That's right. Except for one period.
Except for one period? When was that?
Doctor, I'd like to know the truth.
Mrs. Paget, I'll give it to you straight from the shoulder. If you think you can take it.
I can take it.
Tuberculosis. Now, wait. We've caught it in time, I think. But, Mrs. Paget, your husband will have to go away for a while.
May I go in to see him, Doctor?
Well, he's sleeping.
I just want to look at him.
All right, but don't let him talk too much if he wakes up.
That you, kid?
Not to talk.
Did the doc tell you? We've been hit a low blow.
I know.
He wants me to go to Arizona. Listen, babe. Get a divorce. I mean it. I'm being objective, not noble. We've had the top of the bottle. Don't tie yourself to me.
Stop this nonsense.
No.
Stop it.
Listen. Don't let sentimentality trip you up. That's where most people go wrong. You have to be hard and a little ruthless. If I'd let sentimentality get in my way, I'd have taken a job instead of writing.
I'm not listening.
You must listen, Maggie. I know you're thinking I'll be alone in a sanitarium or something, but, kid, I've been alone most of my life. I am used to it. I never expected anything else. Why, the time we've had together, that's so much gravy for me. I don't
It's been gravy for you, Ed. You're used to being alone, are you? Oh, what about me? Do you think I could live without you? I couldn't. I'd die.
Oh, Maggie.
Your husband continued writing, except for one period. Now, when was that?
During the war. He was ill, tuberculosis.
Was he in a sanitarium?
Yes, in Tucson, Arizona.
And you?
I got a job at an Army air base near him. I was allowed to see him twice a month. One of the officers used to drive me to town.
Was this officer a friend?
Well, Maggie, this is the last time I'll be driving you to Tucson.
Oh, Spin. Shipping out?
Uh-huh. Very hush-hush operation. There's something I want to say to you. No, don't look at me. Look straight ahead. Maggie, I'm in love with you, very much in love with you.
Don't stand.
I'm going to make it short. I want you to get a divorce and marry me. We can be married by proxy no matter where they send me, and I'll be back someday.
No, Spence.
Look, face facts. They're brutal, but they've got to be faced. Maggie, your husband is an invalid. He's been in a sanitarium how long? 2 years, 3. He may be there 10 more. Where does it leave you, Maggie? You see him only twice a month. You can't even kiss him.
No, Spence.
You sure?
Very sure.
Oh, well, guess that's that, then. It's all the ammo in my clip. You know something? sick as your husband is, if I could change places with him, I'd do it in a second. And still think I'd gotten the best of the bargain.
Oh, Spencer, you're...
Come on. What's the use of talking? Let's not talk for a while.
Was this officer a friend?
A good friend.
How long was Tommy ill?
Almost 4 years.
When did he meet Felice Harrow?
After we came back here.
Meeting a literary agent like Felice was a lucky break for your husband, wasn't it?
Maggie, Felice was wonderful. She's only been an agent for a year, but she thought it was the best book she's read by a modern author. Oh, I almost forgot I'm having dinner at her place. We're going to discuss some revisions she had in mind.
Oh, so?
Pick out a tie for me and lay out some clothes, huh, babe?
I'll wait up for you. I want to hear all about it.
Oh, better not. I may be very late. You know, I can talk when I have a new audience. I'm going to shower and shave. Do you have any money?
I have a $5 bill.
Well, put it in my trousers, will you? Should I take her some candy or something?
That might be nice.
If she calls, tell her I'll be on time, not to fret.
I will.
We'll return to John Payne and the third act of I Give You Maggie in just a moment. Now, Act 3 of I Give You Maggie, starring John Payne.
Meeting a literary agent like Felice was a lucky break for your husband, wasn't it?
Yes, for both of them.
Very attractive, isn't she?
Very.
You know, I think personal appearance is so important, don't you?
Maggie, you look awful.
I do?
Just awful. You used to be such a pretty girl, too. You ought to be spanked for letting yourself run to seed like this.
No, I haven't run to seed.
How old are you now? 31? You know how old you look?
How old?
31. That's disgraceful. You should look at least 5 years younger than 31. At 41...
All right, you've made your point.
Where's Tom this evening?
With Felice, I think.
Oh? He's seeing a lot for her, isn't he? Aren't I the cat?
Well, why shouldn't he? She's his agent. They have to confer a good deal.
Of course. Any news on the book?
No, not yet. But Felice keeps trying.
I'll bet she does at that.
I think personal appearance is so important, don't you?
Yes, it is.
Did they accept the book for publication as soon as they read it?
No. We had to raise $2,500.
Did you borrow from friends?
Maggie. Oh, Maggie.
Hello, Steve.
Oh, Maggie, I've been... Oh, why didn't you write?
Oh, I've kept in touch with you through the newspaper. Captain Nolan on this island, Major Nolan on that one. I kept in touch.
Did you really? Maggie, are you... Is Tom...
Completely cured.
I see. And you and he are still...
Still married.
And in love. And in love?
Oh, Spence, I'm miserable. I think Tom wants out. He hasn't said anything. He's going to be a famous man, Spence, and I don't seem to fit into this life anymore.
Oh,
Maggie. You know that line about successful writers and the women, happened to marry when they were young.
Who is she, Maggie?
Valise Harrell, Tom's agent. She's young, smart, and literary, just as Tom is. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't come to let my heart out.
No, it's all right.
I've come to ask for $2,500.
25.
Police has contacts. She can get Tom's book published if he could put up that amount.
2,500. All right, Maggie, I'll give you 2,500. On one condition, that you divorce Tom and marry me.
Oh.
Don't stop to think. Quick, what do you say?
No.
I knew it. Still the same, Maggie. Wobbly on your feet, but still in airport.
Oh.
Want to know something? If you said yes, you'd come no closer to 2,500 of my dollars than any other stranger. But then you're no stranger, right? Okay, Maggie, money's yours.
Ben. Yeah. May I give you a kiss?
Well, it's the best offer I've had today.
Did you borrow from friends?
Something like that.
And so the book was published and the rest is history.
That's right.
Well, I guess that's about all. Didn't hurt, did it?
I told you it wouldn't be very interesting.
Well, almost everything concerning a Pulitzer Prize winner is interesting. And what you've told me will make a paragraph anyway. And I'm terribly glad for Tommy and Felice. There aren't two nicer people in the literary game. Tommy's so good looking. Mrs. Paget, may I say something?
Yes.
Well, if I were you and had a husband as attractive as Tommy... Oh, never mind. It's none of my business. Shall we go back to the party?
Well, I'd like to stay here for a moment, if you don't mind. I want to fix my hair.
Well, see you soon.
You used to be such a pretty girl, Maggie.
No.
You used to be such a pretty girl.
Maggie, come on out. Maggie, what is it, babe? What happened?
Oh, Tom, I'm not pretty anymore. I was standing in front of the mirror. I found a gray hair. I'm not young and pretty anymore. I'm not, am I, Tom?
No, Maggie.
Oh.
You're not pretty anymore.
Oh, no.
You're beautiful. Oh, your face is beginning to line. There's a line between your eyebrows that wasn't there when we were first married. And here's one I saw when my first book was rejected. And another that was etched while I was sick. Oh, sure, there's several lines. To say nothing of your one gray hair. Maggie, you imbecile. I didn't marry you because you were pretty. There are thousands and thousands of pretty girls. You see them in ads or glumping around in the movies. Chorus lines in colleges are filled with them. Why, Felice is a pretty girl. But you're beautiful. All the loveliness I saw deep down inside you when we first met is just pushing its way out. I say you're beautiful. And maybe I'm prejudiced, but I love you. Here now. Oh. Now take my hand. Squeeze it. Squeeze it hard. Ready, Maggie?
Ready, Tom.
Okay. Let's go out there and face them together. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen of the Pulitzer Prize Committee, members of the press, friends. In accepting the award for literature, I do not accept it for myself, but for the person who really deserves all the credit accruing to my book. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Maggie.
John Payne will return in just a moment to tell you about next week's show.
First, I want to offer my sincere thanks to the young lady who made Maggie such a charming wife in today's performance. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Lorraine Tuttle. Next week, the Prudential Family Hours of Stars will bring you the popular young motion picture actress, Miss Audrey Totter, in Daphne du Maurier's sensational bestseller, Rebecca. Be sure to listen. Thank you and good afternoon.
John Payne is currently starring in the Benedict Boge's production of The Crooked Way. Today's story was written by Walter Newman, music composed and conducted by Carmen Dragon. Don't forget, next Sunday our star will be Audrey Totter. And so until next week, this is Frank Goss saying good afternoon for the Prudential Family Hour of Stars and for the Prudential Insurance Company of America, the company with the strength of Gibraltar. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Gentlemen of the jury, you are the judges of the evidence to be laid before you. Be just and fear not, for the true administration of justice is the foundation of good government. Famous jury trials, dramatizations of cases taken from actual court history. The United States government versus Arron Burr. Tonight's famous jury trial is one of the most famous and most important criminal trials in American history. Arron Burr, handsome, brilliant, witty, was the third vice president. When, while still in office, Arron Burr challenged his political rival, Alexander Hamilton, to a duel. And the bullets which killed Hamilton on the field of honor also killed the political career of Arron Burr. He disappeared from the political scene, migrated into the Western Territory, despised and deserted by all but a handful of friends. But fate had still more disaster in store for him. On the 22nd day of May in the year 1807, Arron Burr was brought to trial before Justice John Marshall in the city of Richmond, Virginia. The charge, high treason against the United States.
Famous Jury Trials presents The State versus Arron Burr. We'll have tonight's story after this message on KNBR 68.
The music begins and the curtain parts. Beams of light pour color over the frozen ice. Then suddenly, out onto the South Showroom stage glide the skaters. Colorful, exciting, graceful, and precise. You're at Harrah's Lake Tahoe, riveted by the beauty of Fantasy on Ice, a spectacular new show starring Dorothy Hamill and featuring Ty and Randy. Fantasy on Ice. At Harrah's Tahoe now. At Harrah's in downtown Reno, it's the biggest little star in show business today. Which little? Rich Little. Topping the bill in the last meter nightly. The super talented, the unforgettably exciting, it's the life you love at Harrah's.
More life, that's the breathtaking, earth-shaking review busting out at Harrah's Casino Cabaret in Reno now.
We commence tonight's famous jury trial, the United States government versus Arron Burr. In an atmosphere of tense hostility toward the defendant, a jury was chosen, and attorney William Work opened the case for the United States. Your Honor, gentlemen of the jury, the defendant, Arron Burr, is charged with the crime of high treason against these United States, under whose colors he once served in the War of the Revolution. We will prove to you that this traitor organized an armed expedition with the purpose of seizing the city of New Orleans, and using that city as a base, he planned to conquer all of the Western Territory, including Texas, California and the other territories owned by Spain, and to make this an empire of which he was going to be the absolute ruler. This traitorous scheme not only jeopardized the territorial integrity of the United States, it would almost certainly have plunged this nation into a costly, bloody war with the Kingdom of Spain. Arron Burr planned to stab his country in the back, to lead what he called a glorious expedition against each state in turn until the entire nation bowed beneath the yoke of his tyranny. That is the man before you. That is the case the government will prove. I call the first witness for the government, General William Eaton. General William Eaton will step forward. Take a stand. General Eaton, do you swear the evidence you will give in this trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? I do. General Eaton, at one time you enjoyed Arron Burr's most complete confidence, did you not? I did, sir. I did indeed. Did Arron Burr at any time inform you of any plan or scheme he had to further his personal ambitions? He most certainly did. Many, many times he told me it was intention to organize an army of his own. And did he say what he intended to do with his personal army? He told me he planned to seize the city of New Orleans and pointed out that it would be impossible for this government to send any aid to the city until too late. Was New Orleans the only objective of his expedition? No. After that, he planned to invade the Spanish colony of Texas. This, he said, would immediately involve the United States in a war with Spain. He planned to march south of the Rio Grande and conquer all of Mexico. And then? Then he planned to seize all of the western territory of this continent. And when he had consolidated this vast empire, then he was going to march against the United States itself. Oh, General, the defendant actually told you all of these things himself? Yes, sir, he did. Where? At the home of Mr. Harmon Brenner Harsett on Brenner Harsett Island on the Ohio River. What transpired there? Colonel Burr asked me to join his treasonous band. Mr. Brenner Harsett was a party to the plot, and the island was to be used as a starting point for the expedition. What was your answer to the defendant when he asked you to join him, General? I told him he was a foul, black-hearted traitor, and I left the island at once. Thank you, General. Your witness, Mr. Martin. General Eaton, have you any proof to offer this court that Colonel Burr ever told you of any such fantastic scheme as you have outlined here? My word is my proof, sir. My word as a gentleman, a soldier, and a patriot. Oh, I see. One more question, General. Did you observe at any time any overt act of treason on the part of Colonel Burr? Well, no. That is not the point. See here. Answer the question, please. Did you ever see Colonel Burr perform a treasonable act, yes or no? No, I did not. That is all, General. But that is not all. Why, that rascal Burr told me he planned to capture the city of Washington and hang President Jefferson from his own front car. General Eaton, you may leave the witness stand. I call Jacob Albright. Jacob Albright. Jacob Albright. Jacob Albright. Now, Mr. Albright, what is your occupation? I work for Mr. Brenner Harsett, sir. On Brenner Harsett Island and the Ohio River? Yes, sir. Now tell me, Jacob, during the early part of this year, did you notice any unusual activity on Brenner Harsett Island? Well, sir, there was a lot of boxes and food that begun coming there for Mr. Brenner Harsett. Did you know what was in those boxes? Yes, sir. Guns and bullets and black powder. You saw those with your own eyes? Yes, sir. What else did you see? A lot of strangers come to the island, sir. Ever see any of them before? No, sir. Were they friends of Mr. Brenner Harsett? Didn't seem like any of his other friends. They was a wild, rough bunch. Cutthroats, if I ever seen one. All of them. What did they do there on the island? Didn't do nothing but talk with Mr. Brenner Harsett now and then and get drunk. Said they was going down the river with Mr. Brenner Harsett and Colonel Burr. The defendant was there all this time? No. Colonel Burr. Oh, yes, sir. He was there the whole time. And what finally happened? Well, the soldiers come and everybody ran away. They caught Colonel Burr, but most of the rest got away. That's all, Jacob. Your witness, Mr. Martin. Thank you, Mr. West.
Now, Jacob, I have only one question to ask you. Did you at any time hear that this expedition which Mr. Blanner Harsett was organizing, did you ever hear that it planned to capture New Orleans?
No, sir, I didn't hear that told.
Nor invade Texas?
No, sir.
Nor capture Mexico?
No, sir.
Nor hang Thomas Jefferson?
No, sir.
That is all.
Call General James Wilkinson. General James Wilkinson. General James Wilkinson. General Wilkinson, what is your present position?
I am governor of all the northern territories ceded to this government in the Louisiana Purchase.
Your headquarters are at St. Louis?
Yes, sir.
Do you hold a military position as well?
Yes, sir. I am commanding officer of the armed forces of that territory.
I see. Now, do you know the defendant, Arron Burr?
Yes, I do.
Did he, during the last year, approach you with a scheme to separate the western territories from the United States and invade the Spanish provinces of Mexico and Texas?
Yes, he did.
What was your reply?
Well, I pretended to fall in with his scheme so that he would incriminate himself so clearly that he could be tried and hanged for the black traitor he is.
Your Honor, I object to this cowardly attack on the defendant.
Yes, strike the last sentence. And then what did you do, General?
I waited until Arron Burr was ready to move. Then I informed President Jefferson of the whole plot, placed New Orleans under martial law, and captured Burr.
I see. Now, did the defendant ever write to you?
Yes, he did. In secret code.
I showed you a letter. You recognize it?
Yes. It is a code letter sent to me by the defendant.
I offer it in evidence, Your Honor.
I object, Your Honor. There is no way of telling what that code means. The witness could translate it in any way he liked, and the jury couldn't tell the difference.
You mean to imply that General Wilkinson would lie under oath?
I most certainly do. I mean the government would stop at nothing to win this case.
Your Honor, the counselor for the defense is deliberately insulting the United States of America.
Indeed, we are not. We do, however, accuse the present administration of stopping at no falsehood, no insult, no persecution against the defendant, Arron Burr. We accuse President Thomas Jefferson of willfully keeping secret vital papers which could clear Arron Burr. Is not one who withholds papers which may save a man's life himself a murderer?
Your Honor, this man is calling the President of the United States a murderer.
Then why has President Thomas Jefferson refused to appear in court? Why has he ignored the court subpoena to appear in Arron Burr's defense?
Order! Order, gentlemen! I will remind the counselor that the President is within his rights in refusing to appear in a federal trial. Proceed, Mr. Worth.
May I have a ruling on my objection, Your Honor?
You may. I will admit the letter into evidence if the key to the cipher is supplied and properly identified.
I have a copy of the key here, Your Honor. I ask the witness to identify it.
General Wilkinson, will you tell the court?
This is the cipher key given to me by Arron Burr.
I offer it in evidence together with the letter.
Your Honor, I raise the same objection.
I want no more arguments, Mr. Martin. I will admit the document.
Exception.
I am reading the last paragraph of this code letter.
Read the whole letter.
No, the rest of it has no bearing on this case. You may read it afterwards if you wish to. Here is the paragraph in question. I quote, "All is in readiness here. Advise me the instant you are ready to march with your troops upon New Orleans. We will join forces and then on to Texas and Mexico to realize our glorious dream of creating the empire of the Western world. Yours for victory, Arron Burr." Order, gentlemen, order.
Your witness, Mr. Martin. Let me see that letter, please.
Here is the translation.
No, I want the cipher letter, too.
Why? You can't read it.
Never mind. I want to see it.
Well, here it is.
Yes, I see. Is that the paragraph you read?
Yes.
Yes. Your Honor, I move that the entire testimony regarding this letter be stricken from the record.
Your Honor, that is an absurd motion. The letter is in evidence. On what grounds do you base your motion, Mr. Martin?
I move that all references to this letter be stricken from the record because the paragraph just read is a forgery. Can you prove that? That paragraph is not in the handwriting of Arron Burr. It is the handwriting of General Wilkinson himself.
The trial of Arron Burr reached a high pitch of drama with the sensational charge of the defendant's lawyer that the incriminating paragraph of the letter said to have been written by Burr was actually forged. Now, while the court is investigating this charge, we take a brief recess. And now we take you back to the city of Richmond, Virginia, in the year 1807, where Arron Burr was on trial for his life, charged with high treason. The treasonable paragraph in Arron Burr's letter to General Wilkinson was examined by experts and finally declared to be, in fact, a forgery. Then, having dealt a smashing blow to the government's case, the defense began a vigorous cross-examination of the witness, General James Wilkinson.
General Wilkinson, is it not true that in the year 1787 you, an American citizen, took an oath of allegiance to Spain?
Your Honor, I object. That is not relevant nor material to this case. It is a cheap attempt to smear the witness.
Your Honor, anything reflecting on the credibility of this witness is relevant and material.
I overrule the objection. The witness will answer.
Well, General?
There were circumstances
Answer the question, yes or no, please. Did you or did you not swear an oath of allegiance to Spain?
Yes, I did.
And received a pension from the Spanish government even after you were in the United States Army?
Yes.
General, was it not you who formed a plan to invade Mexico, thereby turning traitor both this country and Spain?
No, I didn't. That's a lie.
Didn't you send Zebulon Pikes westward with the express mission of charting a passage to your troops to the Mexican border?
No.
You didn't send Pike out west?
Yes, I did that, but not for the purpose you say. I never planned to invade Mexico.
General, when Spanish agents discovered your intentions and informed President Jefferson, did you not then go to the President and tell him that it was Arron Burr and not you who had formed this plan?
I told him the truth. Burr is the traitor, not me. I only pretended to be in the plot to lead Burr on. Burr is guilty.
If your past record were more favored, General, perhaps the jury would find it easier to believe you.
Your Honor, I protest against the unethical, shyster methods employed by the defense counsel. If he can find no better way of attacking the testimony of my witnesses than by making cheap, low comments about them to the jury, I suggest he resign from the bar.
It was you who put this lying scandal on the stand with this forged evidence.
Your Honor.
You won't be allowed to resign. You'll be disbarred.
Why, you... Order, gentlemen. That's quite enough. I warn you both against any further demonstration of this kind. Continue with your cross-examination, Mr. Martin.
Until, Your Honor. That is all, General.
Call Horace Whiteside.
Horace Whiteside? Horace Whiteside? Horace...
The government placed many witnesses on the stand, all giving corroborative evidence as to Arron Burr's fantastic dreams of empire. And the case for the government was rested. Then the defense opened and called Arron Burr to the witness stand.
Colonel Burr, I know, and I feel certain that the jury knows, that you are not guilty of the terrible crime with which you are charged. But I would like to get your statement of your entire innocence on the record.
Your Honor, I object. This is leading the witness as well as attempting to influence the jury, as well as being entirely and grossly improper.
Sustained. Strike it all out. Colonel Burr, did you ever at any time plan or discuss any action whatsoever with any person that involved high treason to the United States?
No. Never.
Will you tell the jury what your purpose was in gathering men and guns on Danaharcet Island?
I had bought a tract of land in Louisiana, and I wished to open it up. I needed men, and obviously in the wilderness we needed guns.
You did not contemplate an attack on the city of New Orleans?
With 60 men, no.
Was there any reason for your purchase of land in Louisiana?
Yes. You see, since my duel with Alexander Hamilton and the death of that brave gentleman,
I have been driven and persecuted from my home and the people that I know and love. There was no place for me to go but out west. I had hoped to find sanctuary on my own estate in the wilderness. But the persecution of Thomas Jefferson has extended even to Louisiana and taken that refuge.
Your Honor, I object to that scandalous reference to the President and to all that about persecution.
Yes, write that part out. Now, Colonel Burr, a number of witnesses have testified to a remarkable scheme of conquering this entire hemisphere, which they say you told them. Do you know of any statements of yours which led to this testimony?
Yes, I think I do. If I may have the latitude of the court, I would explain exactly what I said and what I meant.
Tell us in your own words.
Well, when I was growing up, this continent was the pawn of greedy, selfish European powers. Whole sections of our land and our people were shifted from the rule of France to Spain and back again. Foreign agents were everywhere intriguing on behalf of their country's interests.
Yes?
All of the territory of the Mississippi Basin, from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico, was French. All of the far west was Spanish. Florida was Spanish.
Yes, Colonel.
And when I was a boy, I dreamed of this continent. I dreamed of it as one nation and one people, unified under one democratic government, free from the ambitions and intrigue of foreign courts and foreign monarchs, free to pursue their great destiny. If that be treason, gentlemen of the jury, then I am indeed a traitor. I readily admit that I have discussed with other men the possibilities of expanding our young country to the west. I believe the Great West should logically become a part of the United States of America. Our country's destiny is westward. I believe the day will come when the stars and stripes will fly entirely across this continent, from coast to coast. That is the destiny of these United States. And I stand ready, and have always stood ready, to aid in any plan or join in any expedition which seeks to make that dream become a reality. If that be treason, gentlemen of the jury, then I am indeed a traitor.
That is all, Colonel. Your witness.
Mr. Burr, while you were dreaming your fine dreams, did you not also dream of Arron Burr wearing a crown of gold and ruling over this vast continent?
No, Mr. Webb, I never dreamed of setting myself up as a tyrant. Only a few years ago in a war, I fought to free my country from the yoke of tyrants. Did you?
Your Honor, I ask that the impertinence of the witness be stricken.
Write the last part.
Mr. Burr, do you deny that you organized an expedition of armed men on Blennerhassett Island?
No.
Do you deny that you were in correspondence with General Wilkinson at that time?
No.
Do you deny that you sought to enlist his aid in a conspiracy to overthrow the government of these United States?
Yes. With all my heart, I deny it.
That's all, Mr. Burr.
The defense rests, Your Honor.
The government rests. Proceed with your summation, please, Mr. Martin.
Gentlemen of the jury, you have listened for many days to the meanest and most despicable attempt to besmirch the character and destroy the person of one of the greatest men of our time. The prosecution has been a persecution, a most wicked persecution. Have we already, under our newly born democracy, reached a point where a trial in a court of justice in which life is at stake shall be but a mockery to gratify the bloodthirsty enemies of this man? Is there a man among you who believes that this brave soldier could ever have entertained a malicious thought against his country? You have heard this distinguished gentleman from the witness stand describe more exactly than is in my poor power to picture the inspired motives which have guided his every act. Those same acts which forged letters and perjured testimony have here sought to misinterpret. Gentlemen, the life and honor of Aaron Burr are in your hands. I can accept but one answer from you. Aaron Burr is not guilty of treason.
Order! Order! Order, please. Come up to the government, please, Mr. Worth. May it please your honor and gentlemen of the jury. Yours is a great and solemn duty. You are here assembled to protect and preserve the unity of our United States of America. The homeland which so many of you defended so bravely at Valley Forge, at Ticonderoga, and at Yorktown. I envy you, gentlemen of the jury. I envy you because once again you are called upon to defend your country, not from enemies beyond our borders, but from traitors within. Before you sits Aaron Burr, charged with the crime of high treason against the country under whose colors he once served in the War of the Revolution. Aaron Burr has made no defense for himself here in this courtroom. He has been pleased merely to deny the charge, to lie. That is the sole defense. Are you gentlemen going to believe the word of the coward who shot down one of this country's most honored statesmen in cold blood? Are you going to believe the word of this coward and disbelieve all the witnesses who've appeared in this courtroom to tell you that Aaron Burr is a traitor? You have heard a dozen reputable, honored, impartial men. Do you believe all of these patriots were lying and that Aaron Burr was telling the truth? Gentlemen of the jury, Aaron Burr has forgotten his country. But you, gentlemen of the jury, you have not forgotten. The jury is returning after being out for more than a day to deliver their verdict on Aaron Burr. Gentlemen of the jury, have you reached the verdict? We have, Your Honor. How do you find? We find the defendant, Aaron Burr, not guilty. And so ended the history-making trial of Aaron Burr, a man unjustly accused of treason, whose trial today is remembered as one of the most significant in American history. Famous jury trials, the drama of the courts drawn from actual courtroom cases. This is a Grace Gibson radio production.
Famous escapes. Among the ill-starred Stuart monarchs, there is none more tragic than Mary, Queen of Scots. After the death of her father, James V, when she was only a few weeks old, she was sent to France for safekeeping and did not return to the almost impossible task of maintaining order among the turbulent Scottish nobles until 18 years later. Our story opens in Edinburgh, just after the young queen has been installed in Holyrood House.
See the queen as she came in?
Aye, she's a bonny lass. Her kind always are.
Oh, she's a papist.
We want no popery in Scotland.
But she's promised John not to let the church see.
Aye, she's promised.
You think she'll not keep her promise?
She's been brought up in foreign parts. What she needs is a husband and a bairn or two.
She'll have them soon enough, I'm thinking.
They say Lord Darnley is already picked out for her.
Lord Darnley? But little say she'll have and who's to be her husband, poor soul.
Sir David Rizzio desires to speak with Your Majesty.
Come in, David.
Your Majesty.
You got my message, David?
Your Majesty is very gracious, but I beseech you not to do this thing.
Lennox is a traitor.
That may be, but if you dismiss him from the post of Chancellor and make me the hated Italian Chancellor in his place...
I am Queen.
His Majesty the King Consort.
You'd better go, David. He's drunk.
Good day, dear Mary. You here again, Rizzio?
I am just going, Your Majesty.
Why is Rizzio here so much, Mary?
Why, Henry? Because he's gay and cheerful. He sings me Italian songs.
When we were first married, you used to listen to my conversations sometimes.
You behaved differently then.
You mean I didn't get drunk every day? Well, what's a man to do when he's got a beautiful wife that doesn't love him, that treats him like a leper?
You're being ridiculous, Henry.
Why is Rizzio at the palace so much?
Because he gives me good advice. I'm going to make him Chancellor in place of Lennox.
In place of Lennox. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Lennox. Lennox, are you in there?
Darnley, drunk again?
What would you do if your wife hated the sight of you? Listen, Mary's gonna dismiss you and make Rizzio Chancellor in your place.
What?
You're to be sent to does your business. Back to the Highlands.
Don't you understand, you fool? Once Mary gets rid of me, she'll be able to do what she likes.
And maybe you'll lose your head for your traitorous acts in the past, eh?
Are you willing to accuse Rizzio of being your wife's lover?
Well,
she's unpopular enough as it is. If we can make the people think Rizzio's her lover...
Leonard, I understand. The Queen is entertaining Rizzio and some of her friends at supper tonight. If you bring a party of armed men, I'll let you in by the
My friend, I propose a toast.
What is the toast, Your Majesty?
It is strange to think that although I rule over all Scotland, the only friends I have are here in this little room. To you, my friend, the six of you here assembled, I drink with all my heart.
I notice that I'm not among the six, Mary.
What are you doing here, Henry?
I've come to see you and your dear friend Rizzio. Lennox! Aye. Ribbon! Aye. Lindsay!
Here we are, darling.
Henry, this is an outrage.
We mean no harm to Your Majesty.
How dare you invade my apartment?
They have come to kill me, Your Majesty. Save me.
Darnley, how dare you? Take these men away.
Stand aside, Your Majesty, or we cannot answer for the consequences.
Let me get at him. I'll cut him down.
Where are the guards? Guards, hold!
You're wasting your voice. They've gone.
Henry, if you are a man...
We are doing this with your husband's consent. So stand out of the way.
Don't waste any time. Come on, friends. I've got it.
Lord Boswell, what are you doing here?
I heard rumors of violence to Your Majesty's person.
It was Rizzio they killed.
There are my men marching in now. We're at Your Majesty's service.
I did not expect this loyalty of you, Lord Boswell.
You remember that day we met in Paris?
That's 2 years ago.
I remember it as though it were yesterday. Now, with Your Majesty's permission, I think we should convey you to a place of safety outside this turbulent atmosphere.
Lord Boswell.
Come in, Lord Boswell.
You sent for me, Your Majesty.
There's not another man in Scotland I can trust. Boswell, will you swear to me?
What?
That you've had no hand in my husband's death?
I swear, Mary, by the thing that's holiest to me. And that's your bonny face.
Many men I trusted have betrayed me, Boswell.
Mary, I've been ruffian, freebooter, and what you will. But I'll love you. And if you trust yourself to me, I'll never fail you.
If only I could be sure.
If you marry me, half your people will say that you married your husband's murderer. Especially the women. You're too beautiful, Mary. The men in Scotland are all half in love with you, and they hate you for it. And the women hate you for it more.
There's only one man who matters all to me. All that I've gone through only makes me appreciate the heart of you, the gallantry of you. If you marry me...
That's enough said, Mary. Tomorrow we marry, and the day after that, we get our army together and see if we can't subdue these mutinous nobles of yours.
But can we subdue them?
Look here, on the map, Mary. If we meet them here...
That's Carberry Hill.
Aye, and we'll meet their forces at Carberry Hill and roll them back like this. Then I'll be able to give the whole of Scotland as a present to my father.
Maggie, they're coming.
The Queen's coming?
Oh, she's queen no longer.
She's queen until she's dead.
Oh, that won't be long by the look of things. Ah, do you hear the mob? They're tearing to pieces if it wasn't for the soldiers. There she goes to the castle.
Thank God she's safe inside. I thought when she married Lord Buff,
that murderer, he's lucky to have escaped. Burn the witch! Burn her!
Don't talk like that, Jenny.
Burning's too good for her. Didn't she have her poor husband murdered? And didn't she marry the man that did the killing for her? There she is at the window! Burn her! Burn her!
No use talking like that.
No, why not?
They're sending her up to Loch Leven.
And where may that be?
The loch on the other side of the Firth of Forth. There's a castle on an island in the middle of it, so you can save your breath to fool your parish mistress. But there she'll be safe from you and your life.
Your Majesty, Lord Lennox desires audience.
Let him come in.
Your Majesty.
This is an honor, Lord Lennox. I am not favored with much company on my island.
I am sent by the Council of Lords, Your Majesty. They demand that you abdicate.
I will not desert my throne.
Failing that you divorce Lord Bothwell.
Divorce the man I love? So that I can be forced to marry one of your friends? Never.
There is a third choice, Your Majesty.
And what is that?
You will be tried for the murder of your late husband, the former Lord Darnley.
I had nothing to do with his death.
I am afraid few people in Scotland will accept your word for it. A woman who is found guilty of murdering her husband is punished by burning.
You wouldn't do that to me, Lennox.
I prefer that you abdicate. If you do that, your son will ascend the throne in due course.
After he's learned to hate the name of his mother. My poor little Jane.
Perhaps it will help your Majesty to make up your mind when I tell you that I had much difficulty in persuading Lord Lindsay not to settle matters by cutting your Majesty's throat.
I see. Very well. Have the papers prepared.
I have the papers with me, Your Majesty.
Majesty, it is me, Willie Douglas.
Not your Majesty anymore, Willie. I'm queen no longer.
Everyone in the castle knows you've abdicated. But to me, you will always be queen. Your Majesty's life isn't safe.
That's nothing unusual, Willie.
There's a band of horsemen gathering on the western shore.
You think they've come to kill me?
Are you ready to escape tonight?
How can I escape? Even if I could get out of the castle, there's still 2 miles of water to cross.
My uncle is giving a banquet tonight.
In honor of my abdication?
Yes. He always carries the keys of the great door in his pocket. If I know anything of the power of the whiskey he drinks, I'll be able to steal his keys by midnight. And then I'll come up here. Your Majesty.
Is that you, Willie?
You hear them celebrating in the hall? Here are the keys. We'll have to hurry.
Very well, Willie.
Follow me, Your Majesty. Keep watch a moment, Your Majesty, while I unlock the gate.
I can't see a soul.
After you, Your Majesty. Even the sentries have gone to join in the banquet. Quick, into this boat.
Very well. I'm ready. You can start now.
We're off. There are horses waiting on the bank for us. Once your escape is known, all the clans will hasten to your support.
No, Willie, I've abdicated from my throne. It's no use fighting anymore. All I can do is to throw myself on the mercy of my cousin.
Where are my keys? Who's got my keys?
Your cousin appears to have missed his keys.
Much good may it do him.
Mary Stuart and Charles will escape. Into the boat and off.
Oh, Willie, they'll catch us.
No, they won't, madam.
But they'll be able to row faster than we can.
They won't be able to row at all. I've stove in the bottom of every boat on the island.
This is a pleasant victory, Willie, petty though it may be.
When the clans hear about your escape...
No, it's no use deluding myself with false hopes. My only consolation is that one day my son will succeed me on the throne of Scotland, if he lives long enough.
But, Your Majesty...
Go on, Willie. All that remains for me is to make my escape and throw myself on the mercy of my cousin. to Elizabeth of England. And may her heart be more merciful than I have reason to think it is.
When Queen Mary escaped from the island of Lochleven, she was 24 years old. She reached England in safety, but the mercy that Queen Elizabeth showed her was to keep her in prison for 20 years before having her beheaded. However, her son not only ascended the throne that she had lost, but as James I was the first king to unite under one rule the kingdoms of both Scotland and England.
Abe Lincoln had an Illinois face, and he came out of a pioneer race. He knew how hard the fight would be, but he liked the idea of being free. His heart was tough as a railroad tie. He was made of stuff that doesn't die. He was made of hopes. He was made of fears. He was made to last 1,000,000 years.
This is the Ford Theater, an hour of radio drama presented by the Ford Motor Company, makers of Ford, Mercury, and Lincoln cars, and Ford trucks, farm tractors, and motor coaches. Today's play, Robert E. Sherwood's Abe Lincoln in Illinois.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Howard Lindsay speaking for the management of the Ford Theater. The management believes that a good radio theater should be, in effect, a theater of ideas, with an adventurous mental climate and a willingness to experiment, to leave the beaten path in search of excitement from time to time. And so the Ford Theater, in its brief history, has given me many opportunities to use that happy phrase, for the first time on the air. Today's occasion is, I think, the most important of the sort. For today, we present the first part of a 2-hour dramatic biography of Abraham Lincoln by one of America's most notable playwrights, Robert E. Sherwood. Today's drama was, of course, written originally for the stage. Next Sunday's sequel, Abe Lincoln in Washington, was written directly for the Ford Theater by Mr. Sherwood. It marks, I believe, the first time that a playwright of Mr. Sherwood's stature has written a full-hour play primarily for broadcasting. For the first time on the air, then, a complete biography of Abraham Lincoln, whose birthday the nation celebrates on Thursday. Part 1, Abe Lincoln in Illinois.
Abe Lincoln had an Illinois face, and he came out of a pioneer race.
Time, a little more than a century ago. It is evening in a cabin near New Salem, Illinois. There is one rude table piled with books and papers and 2 chairs. One is occupied by Mentor Graham, the New Salem schoolteacher. The other by a soft-spoken, attentive student who, at 21, should be reading with more assurance than he is at the moment showing.
That's not quite it, Abe. Now, I want you to read this. It's from a speech delivered by Mr. Webster in the United States Senate.
When my eyes shall be turned to behold for the last time the sun in heaven, let their feeble glance behold the glorious ensign of the Republic bearing
Don't read it off as if it were an inventory of Denton Offit's groceries. Imagine that you're making the speech.
Oh, I couldn't use words as long as Daniel Webster.
That's what you're here for, Abe, to learn. Now, that was the imperative mood. Let me hear you go on with the potential.
Potential. That signifies possibility, usually of an unpleasant nature, like if I ever get out of debt, I will probably get right back in again.
Why did you select that example, Abe?
Well, it happens to be the thought that's heaviest on my mind, sir.
Store in trouble again?
Yes, sir. Barry has drunk all the whiskey that we ought to have sold.
You haven't been a failure here, Abe. Everyone around here is anxious to help you get ahead.
Oh, well, I know. Man, they're just like you, sitting up late nights to give me learning. Now, Josh Speed and Judge Green and some others that I owe money to, they want to get me the job of postmaster, thinking that maybe I can handle that since there's only one mail in a week.
What you want to do is get out of New Salem, Abe.
Well, my family have always been movers, shifting about, never knowing what they were looking for, and whatever it was, never finding it. I've thought about moving, but wherever I go, it'll be the same story. More friends and more debts.
Well, Abe, there are two professions open to people who fail at everything else, politics and school teaching.
Then I'll choose school teaching. You go into politics, you may get elected.
This is the Rutledge Tavern, Mr. Edwards. Come right in. Well, good morning, Anne.
Hello, Judge Green.
Where's Abe?
Oh, he's probably down at the foot races, but he'll be back soon.
Anne, this is Ninian Edwards of Springfield. Anne is the daughter of the proprietor, Ninian.
I'm proud to know you, ma'am.
And, of course, you know Josh Speed. Of course. Hello.
Morning, Josh. Sit down, gentlemen.
And let me tell you, Anne, that Mr. Edwards is a married man, so you can keep your lively eyes to yourself.
Oh, Judge Green, you're just joking me.
Bring us some ale, Anne.
Right away, Squire.
Mud wagon's in. Hello, boys.
Hello,
Abe. Hello, Miss Anne.
Hello, Abe. Here's your ale, Squire.
And here's a letter for you, too, Anne.
Oh, thank you very much, Abe. I'll just have time to read it before setting the table.
This is Mr. Ninian Edwards, Abe, the governor's son.
Well, nice of you to come visiting us, Mr. Edwards.
I'm greatly pleased to know you, Mr. Lincoln.
I brought Mr. Edwards out here from Springfield for the sole purpose of meeting you, Abe.
Meeting me, Josh?
Yes, and with Mr. Edwards' permission, I shall tell you why.
Go right ahead, Josh.
Abe, how'd you like to run for the state assembly?
When?
Now, for election in the fall.
Why?
Mr. Lincoln, you're precisely the type of man we want. The whole Whig organization will support you.
This was all your idea, Josh?
Mine and Mr. Edwards and Judge Bowling Green's. Might say you're people's choice.
It's a comical notion, all right, and I don't know if I can give you an answer to it offhand, but my first hasty impression is that I don't think much of it.
Don't overlook the fact that your salary would be $3 whole a day.
Oh, well, that's fine money. There's no doubt of that. And I'm remembering I owe you a considerable sum of money, Judge.
Oh, I'm not thinking about that, Abe.
No, of course you aren't, Bowling, but I've got to. And so should you, Mr. Edwards.
Well, how so, Mr. Lincoln?
Well, the Whig Party is the party of sound money, isn't it?
Why, yes, among other things.
Well, how would it look if you put up a candidate who has already run up a total debt of $1,500?
You see, Ninian, Mr. Lincoln was in partnership, general store here, with a young man named Barry. Barry drank off all the liquid assets, store went bankrupt, and Abe voluntarily assumed all the obligations. That will explain why we think pretty highly of Abe Lincoln hereabouts.
I heartily concur in that sentiment.
Well, I thank you, one and all, for your kind tributes, but don't overdo them, or I'll begin to think that $3 a day ain't enough.
Now, Abe, the thing you want to do most is to learn. And in the assembly, you'll be associating with the finest lawyers in the state.
But how can I tell they'd welcome associating with me?
I've seen you handle some of the neighborhood bullies, like Jack Armstrong. It's obvious you know how to deal with men.
I can handle Jack Armstrong because I can out-wrestle him, but I can't go around Sangamon County throwing all the voters.
We'll take a chance on it, Abe. We'll take a chance.
And I'd like to talk to you when you finished your chores.
All right. No customer's likely now till supper time. Well, what is it, Abe?
For one thing, about that letter you just got from New York State.
What do you know about that letter?
I'm the postmaster, and I know more than I ought to about people's private affairs. And I couldn't help seeing that was the handwriting of Mr. McNeil. And from the look on your face that the bad news you've been afraid of has come.
Whatever the letter said, it's no concern of yours, Abe.
Oh, I know that, Ann, but it makes me sad to think that somebody could hurt you. And it appears to me that you've been crying.
Well, if I did, it was only a little bit.
I think quite a lot of you. You know, I always have, ever since I first came here and met you, Ann.
Do you, Abe?
Now, I wouldn't mention it. Only when you're distressed about something, it's a comfort sometimes to find a pair of ears to pour your troubles into. And the Lord knows my ears are big enough to hold a lot.
You're a Christian gentleman, Abe Lincoln.
No, I ain't. I'm a plain common sucker with a shirt tail so short I can't sit on it.
Well, sit down anyway, Abe. Here, by me.
Oh, that'd be a pleasure.
You can always say something to make a person laugh, can't you?
I don't have to say anything. Person just has to look at me.
You were right about the letter, Abe. Mr. McNeil isn't coming back. I reckon you think I'm a silly fool for ever having promised myself to him.
I think no such thing. Liked him myself. Wouldn't blame any girl for loving him.
Well, I guess I don't love him, Abe. I guess I couldn't love anybody who was as faithless as that.
Well, then, there's nothing to fret about at all, is there?
I don't believe you know much about females, Abe.
Probably I don't, although I certainly spend enough time thinking about them.
You're a big man, and you can lick anybody, and you can't understand the feelings of somebody who's weak. But I'm a female, and I can't help thinking what they'll be saying about me. All the old gossips, all over town.
But would you let that disturb you?
Well, I told you it's just weakness. It's vanity.
Well, I've got a kind of vanity myself. It's kept me from declaring my inclinations toward you.
Toward me?
See, I don't like to be sniggered at either. I know what I am, I know what I look like, and I know that I've got nothing to offer any girl that I'd be in love with.
Are you saying that you're in love with me, Abe?
Yes, and I am saying that. And I've been loving you a long, long time, Ann, and with all my heart. You're a fine girl, Ann. In every way, you got bravery, and you got sense, and you're powerful good to look at, too. But I don't mean to worry about it, Ann. I only mentioned it because if you would do me the honor of keeping company with me for a while, it might shut up the old gossips around this town, and they'd figured that you'd chuck McNeil for someone else, even me.
Oh, Abe. I thought I knew you pretty well, but I didn't.
Well, why do you say that? Am I too forward?
Oh, no, Abe. I've always thought a lot of you the way I thought you were, but the idea of love between you and me...
Well, I'm not expecting you to feel anything like that for me.
Oh, I know, Abe. You'd be willing to give everything you have and never expect anything in return. And I can tell you this much now, and truthfully. If I ever do love you, I'll be happy about it and lucky to be loving a good and decent and generous man. If you just give me time to think about it.
You mean if you took time, you might get in your heart something like the feeling I have for you?
I do know, Abe, that you're a man who could fill anyone's heart and make it glad to be living. Abe, where are you going?
I'm going to find Bowling Green and tell him a good joke.
A joke?
Yep. Going to tell him that I'm a candidate for the Assembly of the State of Illinois.
Evening, Bowling. Can I come in out of the storm?
Why, come in, Josh. We haven't seen you in a dog's age.
Well, good evening, Mr. Speed. What a nice surprise.
Thank you, Mrs. Green, and I beg you to forgive me for this untimely intrusion.
Oh, we're delighted to see you. Take your wrap off.
Thank you. I've just come down from Springfield. They told me Abe Lincoln was here.
He's been sleeping here up in the attic.
But he's out now at the Rutledge farm, tending poor little Anne.
Anne Rutledge? Yeah. What's the matter with her?
She's been taken with the brain sickness.
It's been the most shocking thing, Josh.
Oh, people have been dying right and left with it, Mr. Speed.
But Ann's young. She'll pull through all right. Now, sit down, Josh.
Thank you. Well, I'm most awfully sorry to hear this about Ann.
I suppose you know that Abe came rushing down from Vandalia the moment he heard she was taken. He's deeply in love with her.
Now, Nancy, don't exaggerate.
Oh, he's in love. I wondered what's been the matter with him lately. Has he any notion of marrying her soon?
It's the only notion of his life right now. And the sooner they're married, the better for them both.
Better for her, but worse for him.
And why?
Abe has places to go, Nancy. And, pretty as she is, can only hinder him.
Perhaps, but it wouldn't matter much if she could give him a little of the happiness he's never had.
That's just it. I think as much of Abe as you do, Bowling. But we can't deny he's poor, that he's failed in trade, and that he's been in the legislature a year without accomplishing a blessed thing.
He could go to Springfield and set up a law practice. Make a good thing of it, too. Knows more Blackstone than most who are teaching it. He'd forget Ann. He just happened to fasten on her because she was here. His idea of what's beautiful and unattainable. Let him attain her, and she'd break his heart.
Do you agree with my husband, Mr. Speed?
I can't say, Mrs. Green. He's the best friend I have in the world. But I've abandoned the attempt to predict anything about Abe Lincoln. He can split rails, push a plow, crack jokes all day, and sit up all night reading Hamlet and brooding over his own fancied resemblance to the melancholy prince. He has great strength in his body, but in his mind, he's a hypochondriac. Maybe he's a great philosopher. Maybe he's a great fool. I don't know what he is.
Well, maybe he is a problem, but he's also a man and a miserable one. And what do you do for his misery? Oh, you laugh at his jokes, and you vote for him on election day, and give him board and lodging when he needs it. But all that doesn't give a scrap of satisfaction to Abe's soul. Never will. Because the one thing he needs is a woman with the will to face life for him.
He's afraid to face it himself?
He is. Only a woman can free him. A woman who loves him and believes in him.
Must be Abe, but it doesn't sound like him. Why, hello, Abe. Joshua Speed is here. Just came in from Springfield.
Hello, Abe.
Hello, Josh. I'm glad to see you. Nancy,
Yes, Abe.
she's dead.
Ann? She's dead?
Tonight. Her fever suddenly got worse, and they couldn't seem to do anything for it.
I'm terribly sorry, Abe.
Oh, Abe, we're all so sorry. She was such a dear little girl. Everyone who knew her will join in mourning for her.
Yeah, I know they will, but it won't do any good. She's dead.
Sit down, Abe, and rest yourself.
No, I better be going. I'm not fit company for anyone.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You'll stay right here.
Yes, please sit down a little, Abe. Your bed's ready upstairs when you want it.
Seems a poor way to reward you for what you've done for me, to come here tonight and inflict you with a corpse.
This is your home, Abe.
Yeah, I know. And I love you for it. But Anne, I loved her more than everything else I've ever known.
We know, Abe.
I was always afraid of people. But then when I saw her, I knew there could be beauty and purity in people. When I held her hand, all fear, all doubt went out of me. If she thought I could do something, then I knew that I could. And then I had to stand there, like a twig in a whirlpool, and watch her die. Her mother and father praying there for her while she died. I couldn't pray. I couldn't give any devotion to one who has the power of death and uses it. I can't stand it. I can't live with myself any longer. I've got to die and be with her again, or I'll go crazy. I can't bear to think of her out there in this storm, alone.
Abe, it's a special favor to the people who love you most in the world. Nancy and Josh and me. I want you to go upstairs now and lie down.
Here's a light for you, dear Abe.
All right. Thank you, Nancy. Good night.
Poor Abe. Poor lonely soul.
first act ends. The first performance of Abe Lincoln in Illinois took place at the National Theater in Washington, D.C. on October 3rd, 1938. The play ran for nearly a year in New York with Raymond Massey in the leading role and won the Pulitzer Prize for that year. Our Lincoln is played by Carl Swenson, a leading radio actor who has been heard many times on the Ford Theater and in a great variety of parts. During the intermission now, we'll call upon Kenneth Banghart, who speaks for the Ford Motor Company. Mr. Banghart.
One of the very pleasant things about a company with millions of friends is the daily mail, the letters which come from all over the country. Recently, the Ford Motor Company received a letter from Mr. C.L. Stone of Fayetteville, Tennessee. This is what he wrote.
Gentlemen, I just wanted to prove to you that Ford cars last longer, too. I'll soon be 80 years old, having been born April 19th, 1868. I've lived in Lincoln County, Tennessee all my life. During my lifetime, I've owned a Model T Ford, a Model A Ford Coupe, and my new 1947 Ford Coupe shown in the enclosed photograph. The 1929 Model A shown in the picture was one of the first Model A's that came to Lincoln County. It was the only car I've owned since it was purchased in 1928. I don't know exactly how many miles I put on it, but I'm sure it was over 100,000 miles. My Model A has rendered many services, such as hauling feed from Fayetteville to my farm and is a family car for going to church on Sunday. I'm very proud of my new 1947 Ford. There were many times when I didn't think there was a Ford in my future, but my name finally came up on the list and I got my car. I'm 80 years old, and this is probably the last car I'll buy. So I thought I'd like to send you my picture showing my old 1928 Model A, which I traded in on my new 1947 Ford. Finest car I ever owned. Respectfully yours, C.L. Charlie Stone, Route 5, Fayetteville, Tennessee.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. We hope you'll be enjoying your Ford for many years to come.
The second act of Abe Lincoln in Illinois will be heard after a brief pause for station identification.
His heart was tough as a railroad tie. He was made of stuff that doesn't die.
The Ford Theater, Abe Lincoln in Illinois, Act 2. Time, a sunny summer's afternoon some 5 years after the preceding scene. Place, the law office of Stewart and Lincoln on the second floor of the courthouse in Springfield, Illinois. Billy Herndon, Stewart's clerk, is working at a table. He's young, sharp, smoldering, and dedicated to the belief that Abe Lincoln has a mission, a notion not shared by his hero. Abe, now just past 31, has lost all the marks of youth. He is moody, mature, and taciturn, and he is still poor.
How do you do, Mr. Lincoln? Glad to see you back, sir.
Good day, Billy.
How was it on the circuit, Mr. Lincoln?
About as usual.
Have you been keeping in good health?
Not particularly.
I hope you had a chance to make some political speeches.
Couple of times, public arguments with Stephen Douglas.
That's fine. What issues?
Now, don't get excited, Billy. We weren't taking it serious. Yes?
May we come in, Abe? Are we interrupting the majesty of the law?
Bowling. Well, how are you, Bowling?
Tolerably well and glad to see you, Abe.
Hello there, Josh.
Hello, Abe.
This is Billy Herndon, Squire Green in New Salem.
I'm proud to know you, sir. Mr. Lincoln speaks of you constantly.
Are you a lawyer, too, Mr. Herndon?
I hope to be, sir.
Good. Well, Abe, tell me about yourself. Josh here says you're still broke, but a great social success.
True, on both counts. I am greatly in demand at all the more elegant functions. You remember Ninian Edwards?
Of course.
I'm a guest at his mansion regularly. His wife is one of the Todd family from Kentucky. Very high-grade people, you know, Bowling, the Todds. They spell their name with 2 Ds. That's
pretty impressive when you consider that one was enough for God.
I have the writ prepared in the Wilcox case, Mr. Lincoln. I'll take it down to court now.
All right, Billy.
Squire Green, Mr. Lincoln regards you and Mr. Speed as the best friends he has on earth. I beg you, for heaven's sakes, to drag this man out of this stagnant pool in which he's rapidly drowning himself.
Well, he...
Good day.
Good day,
Goodbye,
Billy.
Billy.
Goodbye. Well, Bowling, how is that blessed wife of yours?
Nancy's busier than ever, and concerned about you. In fact, she instructed me expressly to ask, what on earth is the matter with you, Abe?
Well, you tell her that I am sound of skin and skeleton.
But why don't we ever hear from you?
Well, Josh can tell you I've been busy.
What at?
If old Tippecanoe wins next fall, Abe will be a member of the Electoral College.
Electoral College? Is that the best you can do?
Mm-hmm. For the time being. The law takes a little time, you know. Here back east, they're powerful worried about the annexation of Texas.
They have reason to be. It'd mean slavery all through the territories and clear out to Oregon and California. That'd give the South absolute rule of the country. And the Lord help the rest of us in the free states.
It's got the seeds of civil war, Abe.
Well, if so, it'll be the abolitionists' own fault. Or to be locked up for disturbing the peace. All of them.
Why, Abe, I thought you were opposed to slavery.
And so I am, but I'm even more opposed to war. I'm not a fighting man.
Peaceable men have sometimes been of service to their country.
Perhaps. Suppose I did get elected to Congress. One day I might have to cast my vote on the terrible issue of war or peace. No, sir. Not for me.
Maybe you'll be able to go on to the end of your days avoiding the clutch of your own conscience, but I doubt it.
Bowling, I'm not pretending with you, or with you, Josh. But you talk about civil war. Well, there seems to be one going on inside me all the time. Both sides are right and both are wrong and equal in strength. Now, I'd like to be able to rise superior to the struggle. It says in the Bible that a house divided against itself cannot stand. So I reckon there's not much hope. One of these days, I'll just split asunder and part company with myself, and it'll be good riddance from both points of view.
Why, Ninian Edwards.
Oh, come right in, Ninian.
Hello, Abe. Hello, Josh. And my good friend, Squire Green. Welcome to Springfield, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards.
I just called in, Abe, to tell you and Josh you're to dine with us this evening. And you too, Squire. Mrs. Edwards would be honored if your engagements would permit.
Delighted.
We're proudly exhibiting my sister-in-law, Miss Mary Todd of Kentucky. Very gay young lady, speaks French, recites poetry, and knows the names and habits of all the flowers. Steve Douglas is going to be there, so you boys better get in early.
My compliments to Mrs. Edwards, but my own poor wife awaits me impatiently. I hope.
I applaud your motive, Squire. You'll be along presently, Abe?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Good. You'll meet a delightful young lady, but I'd better warn you. She's here on a survey of the matrimonial field. Told me herself she's going to take the one who promises the most. So be on your guard, Abe, unless you're prepared to lose your standing as a free man.
I thank you for the warning, Ninian.
Good day, Squire.
Good day.
See you later, Josh.
Good day.
I wish I could be there to hear you carrying on the flirtation in French, Abe.
Yes, I'll let you know what happens, Judge.
Abe Lincoln, the flatboat cavalier. Well, clean your boots, Abe, and get some lace on your cuffs. You're going to learn the minuet.
I can't believe it, Ninian. It's an outrageous reflection on my sister's good sense.
Hasn't it struck you, though, Elizabeth, that Mary may see more in Abe Lincoln than you do?
No, it hasn't, and it isn't going to. Mr. Lincoln's chief virtue is that he hides no part of his simple soul from anyone.
And what in the world is the matter with that, please?
Nothing. I'm not running him down. But Ninian, as a husband, and especially the husband of a high-bred, high-spirited young lady, he just won't do.
Elizabeth, prepare yourself for a very rude shock. You think Abe Lincoln would be overjoyed to capture an elegant, cultivated girl, daughter of the president of the Bank of Kentucky.
Well, of course I do. Any man would. Especially out here where it isn't even civilized yet.
My dear Elizabeth, you have never been more mistaken in your life.
What are you two talking about? Mary.
I was telling your sister about the new song the boys are singing for Tippecanoe and Tyler, too.
I compliment you for quick thinking, Ninian. But you were talking about me, now weren't you? Yes, Mary, we were. And quite seriously, I gather.
I'm afraid that our dear Elizabeth has become unduly alarmed.
Let me say what I have to say, Ninian. Mary, you must tell me the truth. Have you ever given one moment's serious thought to the possibility of marriage with Abraham Lincoln?
I shall answer you, Elizabeth. I have given more than one moment's thought to the possibility you mentioned, and I have decided that I shall be Mrs. Lincoln.
Mary.
I told you so.
I have examined carefully the qualifications of all the young gentlemen in this neighborhood, and some of the older ones as well. Those of Mr. Lincoln seem to me superior to all others, and he is my choice.
Do you expect me to congratulate you upon this amazing selection?
No, and no condolences either.
Then I shall offer none.
Forgive me for prying, Mary, but have you as yet communicated your decision to the gentleman himself?
Not yet, but he is coming to call this evening, and he will ask humbly for my hand in marriage. And after I have displayed the proper amount of surprise and confusion, I shall murmur timidly, yes. You see, Elizabeth, I feel that of all the men I've ever known, he is the one whose life and destiny I want most to share.
But look at his breeding, his background, his manner, his whole point of view.
I have no craving for comfort and security. I'm very different from you, Elizabeth.
But have you a craving for the kind of life you will lead if you marry this man? A miserable cabin without even a servant, and not a stitch of clothing that's fit for exhibition in decent society? How far do you think you'll go with Abe Lincoln? Shiftless, lazy scarecrow stopping in the road to tell jokes.
I am strong. I can make him go where he should. I know what you expect of me to do as you have done. Marry a man like Ninian. But with all due respect to you, Ninian, I won't have that, and I won't have it never. You live in a house with a fence around it to keep the common herd from getting in. In Abraham Lincoln, I see a man who has split rails for other men's fences, but who will never build one around himself.
Mr. Lincoln, ma'am.
Come in, Mr. Lincoln. Do sit down.
Thank you, Miss Todd. I will. Don't you think that letter's all right, Josh?
No, I do not, Abe, and you mustn't send it to Miss Todd. It's cowardly and it's cruel.
Well, did I state it too crudely?
No, I have no quarrel with your choice of words, Abe, but your method. You're supposed to be married at 6 o'clock this evening. The champagne chilling on the ice right now. The whole Edwards house is decorated. Some of the guests have come from as far as Kentucky. You can't get rid of Mary Todd on a wedding day by sending me over to Ninian's house with a letter. It's heartless and brutal and thoroughly unworthy. This letter isn't written to Mary Todd. It's written to yourself as a salve for your own conscience.
Do I understand that you will not deliver this letter for me?
No, Abe, I will not.
Well, then someone else will.
Yes, you could give it to the minister. Have him read it to her instead of the marriage ceremony.
Josh, haven't you got eyes in your head? Can't you see I'm desperate?
I surely can. And I think you're sicker than you may realize. Your mind is disturbed.
I have got to have my release from Mary Todd. I can't go through with it. I just can't do it.
Oh, Billy.
Happy New Year!
Same to you, Billy. Mr. Lincoln, I beg leave...
You've been drinking, Billy.
That I have. Nonetheless, I beg leave to drink to your health and to that of the lady who will become your wife. I doubt if Miss Todd and I will ever get along well together, but I'm convinced that our aims for you are the same. I know she's ambitious for you, and I say, God bless her and give her strength.
You had all of that bottle today?
Yes, I have. Well, why not, Abe? It's New Year's Day. Thank you, Mr. Speed. Thank you for the defense. One more toast. To the President of the United States and Mrs. Lincoln.
I think we can do without any more toast, Billy.
Don't worry about me at the wedding. I'll be on my best behavior.
Isn't going to be any wedding. I have a letter I want you to deliver to Miss Todd.
What letter? What is it?
Josh, give it to him. What are you doing at that stove, Josh?
You had no right to burn that letter up.
I know I hadn't, but it's done. Billy, in that letter, Mr. Lincoln asked Miss Todd to release him, saying that their marriage could only lead to endless pain and misery for them both.
Well, if that isn't the truth, then what is?
I'm not discussing the truth of it. I'm only asking you to tell us so to her face in the manner of a man.
That is even crueler. If I went over, I'd blurt it all out. I'd have to tell her the hatred I have for her infernal ambition, that I don't want to be and won't be ridden and driven, her whip lashing me, her spurs digging into me. She craves importance in life. Let her marry Stephen Douglas. He's ambitious, too. All I want is peace and to be left alone.
Very well, then. Tell her all that.
But you... All right, Josh. I'll go up now, and I'll talk to Mary. And then I'm going away.
No, Joshua, I will not see Abe Lincoln again.
But, Miss Todd, it's been almost a year since he broke off with you.
On what was to have been our wedding day.
I know that, but Abe was sick. In mind and in body, Miss Todd. He's well now, and he wants very much to see you. There he is now.
No. Wait. Yes, in 1 minute.
Thank you, Miss Todd.
Mr. Lincoln, Miss Mary.
Tell Mr. Lincoln he may come in.
Thank you, Mary. You may well wonder why I have thrust myself on your mercy in this manner.
I'm sure you're always welcome in Ninian's house.
After my behavior at our last meeting here, I haven't been welcome company from myself.
You've been through a severe illness. Joshua Speed has told us of it. But with your health restored, no doubt you'll be running for the assembly again. Or perhaps you have larger plans.
I have no plans, Mary.
Oh, I suppose it is too early.
I wish to tell you that I am sorry for the things that I said on that unhappy occasion which was to have been our wedding day.
You need not say anything about that, Mr. Lincoln. Whatever happened, I consider my own fault.
Your fault. It was my own miserable cowardice.
No, I was blinded by my own self-confidence. I loved you, and I believed I could make you love me. I knew you had strength, but I did not know that you would use it, all of it, to resist your own magnificent destiny.
It is true, Mary, you once had faith in me, which I was far from deserving. But the time has come at last when I wish to recover it. When I behaved so shamefully, I thought our ways were separate. I have come to the conclusion that I was wrong. I believe our destinies are together, Mary, for better or for worse. And I again presume to ask you to be my wife. I fully realize that taking me back now would involve humiliation for you.
I am not afraid of humiliation if I know it'll be wiped out in ultimate triumph. What was it brought you this change of heart?
Well, when I left you, I went off by myself for many days. On the prairie, I met an old friend by chance who was moving west in a covered wagon with his family. He asked me to go. I was strongly tempted. But then I knew it was not my direction. The way I must go is the way that you wanted me to go.
You will promise never again to falter or turn to run away?
I promise, Mary. If you will have me, I shall devote myself for the rest of my days to trying to do what is right, as God gives me the power to see what is right.
Very well, then. I shall be your wife. I shall fight by your side till death do us part. Oh, Abe, I love you so. Oh, I love you. Whatever becomes of the two of us, I'll die loving you.
End of the second act. Mary Todd Lincoln will become more and more important in our story this week and next. As Carl Sandburg describes her, at this time, she was plump, swift, beaming, with ready answers slipping from a sharp tongue. She had her gifts, a smooth, soft skin, soft brown hair, and flashing, clear blue eyes. Though her tongue and its sarcasm that came so quickly and so often brought dislikes and hates, there was a shine and a bubbling, a foaming over of vitality that won friends. Before Act 3 launches Lincoln into the midst of the great political conflict of the time, a word from Kenneth Banghart, speaking for the Ford Motor Company.
One of the phrases which is currently popular is on the beam. You may use it yourself. But you'd probably have to think a moment before you realize that the expression comes from aviation, from the radio beam which guides most airplanes in their flight across continents and oceans through all kinds of weather. And you probably do not know that this greatest of all aids to navigation was invented, developed, and patented by the Ford Motor Company. It was just 21 years ago this week that the Ford radio range system was proven. On February the 10th, 1927, a Ford plane made a daring flight through a snowstorm from Dearborn to Dayton, Ohio, and back again, following the dots and dashes of the radio beam. That system is in use all over the world today, and it has guided untold thousands of planes through darkness and storm to safety. Basic patents on this invention were issued to the Ford Motor Company, but it has never received a penny's royalty on them. In the interest of safe air travel, Ford made the patents available to the whole air transport industry without charge. This is just one of many Ford firsts. And while this particular invention has nothing to do with automobiles, it demonstrates the engineering knowledge, imagination, and ability which has made the Ford Motor Company famous. That's the kind of engineering that has made Ford cars the standards by which other cars are judged. In the past 45 years, Americans have come to depend on Ford to be first with the best, have come to expect Ford products to be fine products. And the Ford Motor Company lives up to that responsibility. The experience of 3 generations has proven that Ford products are first. First in engineering, first in designing, first in value, first choice of 8 million Americans.
He knew how hard the fight would be, but he liked the idea of being free.
And so the years passed, and, always a little reluctantly, the Springfield lawyer began to seek and to win a wider influence. Elected to Congress in 1846, he attracted some attention in speeches opposed to the war with Mexico, but he soon lapsed again into obscurity. Then, in 1858, his debates with Stephen Douglas brought him into real national prominence as a spokesman for the nation's anti-slavery forces. Douglas was elected to the Senate, but people began to talk about Abe Lincoln as a man who might reasonably aspire to an even higher office. As our third act begins, it is early in the year 1860. Josh Speed is visiting the Lincolns in their Springfield home.
Abe, you'll have to speak to Robert about smoking in the parlor. Ever since he's come home from Harvard, he's been smoking that vile pulp all over the house.
Yes, Mary, I'll speak to him. Almost supper time, isn't it?
Yes, it's 4:30.
4:30? Those men will be here any minute, Abe.
Good Lord.
What men, Joshua?
Some men from the East. One of them's a political leader named Crimmon. And there's a Mr. Stuyvesant, a manufacturer.
Henry D. Stuyvesant?
Yes, that's the one. And Reverend Dr. Barrick from Boston.
Abe Lincoln. What are they coming here for?
Oh, I don't precisely know. I suspect that it's to see if I'm fit to be a candidate for President of the United States.
And you didn't tell me.
Well, I'm sorry, Mary. The matter just slipped my mind.
Just slipped your mind. When we're having the most important guest that ever crossed the threshold of my house.
Well, they aren't guests, Mary. They're here on business.
Yes, a rather important business, it seems to me. And they want to see us as we are. Crude, sloppy, vulgar Western barbarians living in a house that reeks of foul tobacco smoke.
We can explain about having a son at Harvard.
If I'd only known. Why didn't you put on your best suit and those filthy old boots?
Mary, I just clean forgot.
You have never for 1 minute stopped to think that perhaps I have some interest, some concerns in this life we live together.
Well, I'll try to clean up my boots a little, Mary.
You've seen it all, Joshua Speed. Every bit of it. The courtship, if you could call it that. Change of heart, change back again. Marriage, 18 years of it. And you probably think, just as all the others do, that I'm a bitter, nagging woman.
Oh, no, Mary, no such thing.
There never could have been another man such as he. He's never had an enemy, and every one of his friends has always been completely confident in him, all but himself. All these years I've tried and tried to stir him out of it, but all my efforts have been like so many puny waves dashing against the rock of ages. And now, opportunity, the greatest of his whole lifetime, is coming right into his own house. But what can I do about it? He must take it. He must see that this is what he was meant for. But I can't persuade him. And I'm tired, Joshua. I'm tired to death. I've succeeded in nothing but breaking myself.
I know, Mary, but there's no reason on earth for you to reproach yourself.
I think they look all right now, Mary. Oh, I guess they're here now.
You can receive the gentlemen in here. I'll try to prepare some refreshments for them in the dining room. Come along, Joshua.
Mr. Lincoln.
Come in, gentlemen. Hello, Mr. Creeman.
Howdy do. This is Dr. Barrick of Boston, Mr. Stuyvesant of Philadelphia. Mr. Lincoln. I'm honored, Mr. Lincoln.
Thank you, sir. Pray sit down, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. Will Mrs. Lincoln object if I light a cigar?
No, not at all. You go right ahead.
Oh, thank you. You'll forgive us, Mr. Lincoln, for coming directly to the point.
Yes, indeed. You want to inspect the prairie politician in his native lair, and here I am.
We need a candidate, Mr. Lincoln, clever enough to skate over the thin ice of the forthcoming campaign. Your friends believe you're the man. We hope they're right. We want a conservative.
Well, Mr. Stuyvesant, when I first took office 25 years ago in New Salem, I assured my sponsors of my conservatism, and I have subsequently proved it by never progressing anywhere.
Then you agree you are the man we want?
I'd like to say so, sir, but I understand that Mr. Seward is also ready and willing.
Well, that's as may be. Now, please understand, we merely wish to know you better, sir. For example, in your notable debates with Stephen Douglas, you answered some of his demagoguery, and quite shrewdly, I thought, by telling him that whereas the slaves in the South...
I remember the occasion. I said I was thankful that laborers in the free states have the right to strike. But it wasn't shrewdness, Mr. Stuyvesant. It was just the truth.
It has gathered the support of the laboring classes, but it has caused alarm among businessmen like myself.
It seems to me that this nation was founded on the supposition that men have the right to protest against injustice or oppression.
True, but to be specific, the railroads of this country were all built by private enterprise. We must have a free hand and a firm one. Oh, would you, if elected, place the interests of labor above those of capital?
I cannot tell what I should do if elected.
But you must have inclination.
I am opposed to slavery.
We in New England deplore the inhumanity of our southern friends.
Reverend, there are more forms of slavery than that which is inflicted upon the Negro in the South, and I am opposed to all of them. I believe in our democratic system, for it gives hope to all, an honest chance for the improvement of the condition of employee and employer alike.
Mr. Lincoln, I am anxious to know whether you admit one authority to whom devotion is unquestioned.
I presume that you refer to the Almighty.
I do.
Well, there is no doubt of my submission to His will.
But there is much doubt as to your devotion to His church.
I can promise you, Reverend, that I shall gladly join any church at any time if its sole qualifications for membership is obedience to the Savior's statement of law and gospel.
Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. But, gentlemen, I beg you to excuse me. I believe Mrs. Lincoln is preparing a slight collation, and I must see if I can help.
Why, certainly, Mr. Lincoln. The man's an infant.
And a radical.
Forgive me if I enjoy a quiet little laugh on that.
Enjoy your laugh, Crimmin. But I didn't like the way he evaded my direct question. He's a demagogue and a rabble-rouser.
Of course he is. As a dealer in humbug, he put Bonham to shame.
He isn't safe, Crimmin.
Safe? What do you mean by that? There's only one qualification we demand of our candidate, and it's simply this, that he be able to get himself elected. And there's the man who can do it.
I should like to believe you.
So say we all. Just you keep your faith in this uncouth rail splitter. He's one of the smoothest, slickest politicians that ever hoodwinked a yokel mob. You complain that he evaded your question. Sure he did, and did it perfectly. Ask him about labor-employer relations, he says, I believe in democracy. Ask him about religion, love thy neighbor. Now, you know you can't argue with that. He'll play the game with us from here on, and once in the White House, he'll do just what we tell him.
Careful, Quinlan. If you gentlemen will step this way to the dining room, Mrs. Lincoln has prepared a cup of tea.
Thank you.
Most gracious of her.
And there's something stronger for those who prefer it.
Oh, is there a fireplace where I can throw this cigar, Mr. Lincoln?
Oh, by no means. Bring your cigar with you, Mr. Crimmin.
Douglas, 117,000 votes. Lincoln, 106.
He's winning from you in New York, Abe.
Not yet, Mary. Those city returns where Douglas is sure to be stronger.
Maryland is going all for Breckinridge and Bell. Abe, you're just nowhere in Maryland.
Well, I'm used to that. Never have been anywhere in Maryland. I see the New York Herald says that I have the soul of Uriah Heep encased in the body of a baboon.
Oh, what about Pennsylvania, Ninian?
Oh, Abe's safe in Pennsylvania, Mary. In fact, you needn't worry at all.
You've been saying that all evening. No need to worry. But how can we help worrying when every new bulletin shows Douglas ahead?
Because every bulletin shows Abe gaining.
Just give them time to count all the votes from New York, and you'll be on your way to the White House.
Oh, why don't they hurry? Why don't those returns come in?
They'll be in soon enough.
I can't stand it any longer.
I agree, Mary. I think you better go home now. I'll be back before long.
I won't go home.
I think you should, Mary.
Anything to get me out of sight. You only want to get rid of me. That's what you've wanted ever since the day we were married, and even before that.
Mary.
Because you hate me. And all your friends, too. They all wish I'd never come into your life.
No, Mary. Ninian, Robert, Josh, Billy, you all please step out. I wish to speak to my wife alone.
Certainly, Abe.
Yes. Dang you. Dang you for taking every opportunity you can to make a public fool of me. And yourself. It's bad enough, the Lord knows, when you act this way in the privacy of our own home, which you always refer to as my house. But here, in front of people, you are not to do that again. You hear me? You are never to do that again.
Abe, you cursed at me. You cursed at me.
I lost my temper, Mary, and I'm sorry for it. But I still think you should go home.
But, Abe, this is the night I've dreamed of my whole life.
Bob?
Yes, Father?
Take your mother home.
Oh, do I have to?
Yes. And you stay with her until I get there.
Abe, can I get you a cup of coffee?
No thanks, Josh.
Getting nervous, Abe?
No. I am thinking what a blow it'd be to Mrs. Lincoln if I should lose.
Abe, listen to this. At 10:30 tonight, the New York Herald conceded that Mr. Lincoln has carried the state of New York by majority of 25,000 and has won the election.
I congratulate you, Abe. I knew it was going to happen.
So did I, from the very beginning.
Well, thank you, Josh, and thank you, Mr. Crimmin. Thank you all for your faith in me.
They're going crazy downstairs and all over the city.
All over the country, you mean?
Why don't you step out and let them see you, Abe?
No, I'm too tired. I guess I'll just go home and tell Mary.
Out of the wilderness, out of the wilderness. Old Abe Lincoln came out of the wilderness down in Illinois.
You seem a little nervous, Captain Kavanaugh.
I admit it, Major. For 3 months, night and day, I've been guarding the life of a man who doesn't give a hang what happens to him. In Richmond, they're betting 2-1 Mr. Lincoln won't be alive to take the oath of office.
Well, we're in charge, and I'd like to take some of that money. Stand back there. Stand back, all of you.
Better get on board right away, Mr. President.
That's all right, Captain Kavanaugh. They're all old friends of mine. My friends and neighbors, no one not in my situation can appreciate my feelings of sadness at this parting. To this place and the kindness of you people, I owe everything. I have lived here a quarter of a century and passed from a young to an old man. Here my children have been born, and one is buried. I now leave not knowing when or whether ever I may return. I am called upon to assume the presidency at a time when 11 of our sovereign states have announced their intention to secede from the Union. It is a grave duty. In preparing for it, I have tried to inquire, what great principle is it that has kept this Union so long together? We gained democracy, and now there is the question whether it is fit to survive. Perhaps we have come to the dreadful day of awakening, and the dream is ended. Let us believe that this is not true. I commend you to the care of the Almighty, as I hope that in your prayers you will remember me. Goodbye, my friends and neighbors. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Lincoln. Good luck.
God bless you forever, Mr. Lincoln. We trust you, Mr. Lincoln. His hope goes marching on.
As Carl Sandburg writes, the tears were not yet dry on some faces when the train had faded into the gray to the east. Some of the crowd said afterward that Lincoln, too, was in tears, that tears ran down his face as he spoke that morning. And one of the crowd said there were no tears on Lincoln's face. But he had a face with dry tears, said this one. He was a man who often had dry tears. Next Sunday, we take up the story where it ended today. Next Sunday, Abe Lincoln in Washington. Written for the Ford Theater by Robert E. Sherwood.
Abe Lincoln in Illinois was adapted by Max Wiley, edited by Howard Teichman with continuity by George Faulkner. The original music was composed and conducted by Lynn Murray, and the entire production was under the direction of George Zachary. Carl Swenson was heard as Abe Lincoln, Muriel Kirkland as Mary Todd, Jean Gillespie as Anne Rutledge, Eric Dressler as Josh Speed, and Michael Fitzmaurice as Ninian Edwards. The other players were Cliff Carpenter, Scots Cotsworth, Richard Gordon, Irene Hubbard, Ed Jerome, Ginger Jones, Gary Merrill, Ted Osborne, Cameron Prudhomme, and Philip Wolfe. The song heard at the opening of the program was an excerpt from The Lonesome Train by Millard Lampell and Earl Robinson. Next week, Abe Lincoln in Washington. The Ford Theater is presented by the Ford Motor Company, makers of Ford, Mercury, and Lincoln cars, and Ford trucks, farm tractors, and motor coaches.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Good evening, friends. This is Frances Langford bringing you a part of the American scene, Maxwell House Coffee Time. May we come in?
It's Maxwell House Coffee Time, brought to you each week by Maxwell House, the coffee that's bought and enjoyed by more people than any other brand of coffee in the world at any price. So have another cup of coffee and listen to 30 minutes of words and music and reminiscence. The voice of Eloise, the Maxwell House Orchestra and Choir under the baton of Carmen Dragon. This is Toby Reed, and here is your hostess, Frances Langford.
I know why I've waited, know why I've been blue. Pray each night for someone exactly like you. Why should we spend money on a show or two? No one does those love scenes exactly like you. You make me feel so grand, I want to hand the world to you. You seem to understand each foolish little scheme I'm scheming, dream I'm dreaming. I know why my mama taught me to be true. She meant me for someone exactly like you. You make me feel so grand, I want to hand the world to you. You seem to understand each foolish little dream I'm dreaming, scheme I'm scheming. I know why my mama taught me to be true. She meant me for someone exactly like you. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's a swell song, isn't it, Frances?
I like it.
Well,
Well, what?
Frances, right here you're supposed to say, and there's another grand song I'd like to sing, Toby.
Sometimes I get tired of saying what I'm supposed to say.
And then I say, oh, and you say, yes, always. And then I say, that's a wonderful song. And you say,
You turn him on and he goes on indefinitely.
and then you say, it just so happens that Carmen Dragon and the boys have the music.
Okay, Toby,
And then-
okay. Let's not get carried away with this thing.
And then you...
Give the introduction a gentle tap, Carmen, and let's go. I'll be loving you always with a love that's true always. When the things you plan need a helping hand, I will understand always, always. This may not be fair always. This may not just a year, but always.
You know, our capable Carmen Dragon supervises the arrangement of all these musical numbers himself. Now take this lovely song, Always, by Irving Berlin. In combining the talents of his musicians, Carmen may decide to give the melody to the strings. Next, he enriches the melody with his main harmony. Maybe he'll use woodwinds. Then he adds tonal color with vibrant passages for the brasses. And works out a vigorous rhythm section. The final arrangement blends in each instrument for the richest, harmonious result. A master craftsman himself, Carmen appreciates the comparison between his orchestral blending and the great care and skill with which gifted experts blend famous Maxwell House coffee. Not one, but many superb Latin American coffees are combined to achieve the fine flavor and full-bodied goodness of the world-famous Maxwell House blend. Our Maxwell House experts choose Manizales for mellowness. They blend in Medellins for richness. Select other choice coffees for robust vigor. And they add Bucaramangas for fine, full body. The completed blend is truly superb coffee at its flavorful best. A blend so genuinely satisfying, it's actually bought and enjoyed by more people than any other brand of coffee in the world. Since coffee adds so much to every meal, why not be sure of the finest in coffee drinking pleasure? You can for just a fraction of a penny more per cup than the cheapest coffee sold. Just say Maxwell House, always good to the last drop.
Not for just an hour, not for just a day, not for just a year, but
Francis, I read by the fan mail that you have a brand new Mercury record that's pretty sensational.
Well, I do have a new Mercury record, all right, and I certainly had a lot of fun making it. It's called Please Don't Play Number 6 Tonight.
Well, I can't wait to hear it.
Well, just stand back and give me room. Now, folks, imagine yourself, if you'll pardon the expression, in a soda fountain. Someone puts a nickel in the jukebox, and the sad-eyed little lady in the corner raises her golden head, opens her baby blue eyes, parts her ruby lips, and says, "They were playing that same record when first I met his glance. They played it while we fell in love all through our whole romance. Oh, they used to play that record, and he would hold my hand. But since he's gone and left me now, I'll never understand. So please don't play number 6 tonight, for number 6 was meant for 2. Play the other new releases, or else I'll go to pieces. That's all I ask of you." They were playing that same record. I love that melody. For every time they played it, then he kissed me tenderly. Oh, the nights were filled with music. The disc was such a treat. But every time I hear it now, my heart won't even beat. So please don't play number 6 tonight, for number 6 was meant for 2. There's selections you can choose from that I won't get the blues from. Please try to see me through.
We'll try to see you through.
So please don't play number 6 tonight. That's all
ever stop to think what a big part songs play in your memories? Take this song, for example. Follow it back across the years to your college campus, to the football rallies, the games, the raccoon coats, the sloppy Joe sweaters, the classes, the exams, the dances, the girl you gave your fraternity pin, or the guy that gave you his. Remember how you walked home across the campus listening to voices like this, and the stars were in reach of your hands, and the world was in your pocket? Remember?
The girl of my dreams is the sweetest girl of all the girls I know. Each sweet co-ed like the rainbow trail fades in the afterglow. The gold of her hair are a blend of the western sky, and the moonlight beams on the girl of my dreams. She's the sweetheart of Sigma Chi. And the moonlight beams on the girl of my dreams. She's the sweetheart of Sigma
The American scene is many different things. It's the sound of church bells punctuating a summer evening. It's children with their scrubbed Sunday faces on the way to Sunday school. And every now and then it's the church social. You're in the kitchen fixing the lunch boxes when Jerry comes over from next door.
Francis, if you fixed your lunch boxes like everyone else's, how's a fellow supposed to know which one to bid for?
A fella isn't supposed to know who he's bidding for.
But suppose he were to draw Mrs. Peters as his partner.
Mrs. Peters is a charming woman.
But she's 60 years old.
Jerry, I wish you wouldn't follow me around the kitchen.
Well, now, why are you fixing so many boxes, Francis?
I promised to fix some for the ladies who are working on the decorations.
What's going on out here?
Just getting ready for the church social, Pop.
Who's doing the auctioning this year?
Carmen.
Carmen Dragon?
Well, how many dragons do you know?
How can he conduct an auction? He couldn't even auction off one of his own musicians.
Who would want one?
It's much too hot to go into that. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Carmen.
How high?
Huh?
If you don't mind my saying so, you're not exactly on the beat, Mr. Dragon.
No?
No, when I say how high, you're supposed to say waist high.
Why?
Because waist high is the height of a handshake. Get it?
I'd rather not, if you don't mind. I don't blame you.
You gotta keep up with the times. You don't want the boys in the band to call you a deadbeat, do you?
What do you think they call me now?
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Toby.
How high, Mr. Reed?
Waist high, Jerry. How you doing, Francis?
Can't talk. Have to concentrate on these sandwiches.
Boy, they sure look good.
Oh, quit looking at Francis's sandwiches.
I'm just admiring them.
Now, please get out of the way, will you? I only have a few minutes to finish these boxes.
Toby, did you know that Carmen was doing the auctioning this time?
Oh, he couldn't be. They'd never let that poor man's Toscanini take over.
Toby, you quit picking on Carmen.
There, you see? Carmen, you quit picking on Toby. I can be one-sided in this, too.
Thank you, Mr. Hogue. I'm glad to see someone in this kitchen has the intelligence to appreciate me.
Jerry, hand me those pieces of paper and a pencil, will you? I have to put the names inside the boxes.
Yes, Francis.
Carmen, what are you doing over here this afternoon, anyhow?
This is a free country, and I'm a free agent.
Why don't you two try to get along?
I just can't like that man. He's an ornery, scowly, scrounging, scaly, snitchy, sneaking, flagellatious show-off. What's the matter? Haven't you got any adjectives of your own?
A few.
I haven't seen any indications of any great vocabulary.
Don't egg me on.
Hard-boiled eggs. I knew there was something I'd forgotten.
I've got a few words for you myself, you know.
Like what?
Like chuckle-headed, nit-witted, jingle-brained, chowder-headed, scramble-brained, ivory-domed, blunder-headed, bone-headed, gappy, goopish, jug-headed, moss-backed, mummified, yap-headed, timber-headed.
Good for you, Mr. Dragon. I didn't think you had it in you.
Ban-headed, bean-headed, bow-hunkish, blunder-headed.
Name caller.
You got bats in your belfry, a vacant upper story to rent. You're walking around in a fog. You don't know what time it is.
How do you turn him off?
Sometimes I go on for hours. I can be very monotonous.
You can say that again.
I can be very monotonous. Which box is yours, Francis? I want to be sure I get that one.
No, it wouldn't be fair to tell Carmen.
And if she was going to tell anyone, it wouldn't be you. Would it, Francis?
Toby, I don't know why you can't get along with Carmen.
Yeah, some people are just born misfits, Francis.
You know, one of these days I'm going to knock your union card off.
If you do, Mr. Petrillo won't like you.
Would you fellas please help me carry these boxes to the car? It takes a few minutes, but finally you get them moving, and then you get the boxes out of the car. Then you go back in the house for your coats.
You're left alone in the car. You look at the boxes, and you notice that the box Mr. Reed was carrying has a mark on it. And you see Francis's name inside. The little devil comes up and prods you with a perfectly wonderful idea. And you write a new name on the slip in that box and put it back. And you put Francis's name on a box that you mark.
So you go to the church social. When you get there, everybody's playing charades.
How do you play charades, Francis?
Well, you draw a slip from that pile over there, and on it is written a quotation or the title of a song or a book. And you have to act it out so your team can guess it.
I'm up next. You go up the table and you draw your slip, and it says tramp, tramp, tramp on it. And you think, this is a cinch. And you start tramping back and forth.
What are you just walking up and down like that for, Mr. Hogue?
He's acting out a song title.
Marching through Georgia?
You think to yourself, how can anyone be so stupid? How could anyone even look at me and not know immediately that I'm doing tramp, tramp, tramp?
Boots, boots, boots.
Marching along together? You're not supposed to talk, Pop.
All he's doing is tramping back and forth.
You signal frantically for him to go back and repeat what he just said.
Something about tramping? The caissons are rolling along?
You give that up. You loosen your shirt collar and you sit down, and any astute person in the world can see that you're the image of a tramp.
Hallelujah, I'm a bum.
Brother, can you spare a dime?
A cup of coffee, a sandwich, and you?
The ruby out of Omar Khayyam?
Holy murdering mice. What's the matter with you monic imbeciles?
Pop, you're in the social rooms of the church.
Does that give you any particular right to be stupid?
We mustn't lose our tempers.
Well, it's my temper. I'll lose it if I like to.
Well, all you're doing is going tramp, tramp, tramp in front of us.
That's it. She said it. How long was I?
Well, what did I say?
Tramp, tramp, tramp.
Oh, is that what it was? I thought of that a long time ago.
You choke down the words you'd love to say, and they burn your mouth.
Then it's time to go into the next room for the auctioning of the lunch boxes.
What am I bid for this handsome shoebox?
20 cents.
20 cents? For this handsome shoebox packed with goodies? Magnificent morsels to mellow your mood?
21 cents.
21 cents? For these delectable dainties, these gorgeous groceries?
Bid 50 cents, Pop.
50 cents.
Going once for 50 cents. Going twice. Going. Gone to the gentleman with the nose and the eyebrows. For 50 cents. Here you are, Mr. Hogue.
Open it and see who you got.
Mrs. Peters.
Now, what am I bid for this tempting, toothsome carton of goodies?
Well, turn the tartan around so I can see it.
Are you making fun of me?
Is it possible? Go on, turn the box around. I bid $1.
$1?
$1.
You think to yourself, I hope Mr. Reed isn't any smarter than I think he is.
Gone. For $1. To the corn-fed gentleman to my right, Mr. Reed.
Who'd you get, Toby?
I'll tell you in just a minute. I hope I got you, Francis. Carmen Dragon?
Dragon? Well, that's impossible. I didn't pack a lunch.
You deliberately did this, you schmaltzer, you?
I did this? You think I want to eat with you?
Boys, please. Remember, you're in the social rooms of the church.
Yeah, and I paid $1 to eat with that deadpan staccato spitter.
What he called me.
Come on, Carmen. We have to finish with the auction.
Well, here's a box. What am I bid?
$1.
Going, gone for $1. Here.
What'd you get, Jerry?
Well, what do you know? I got you, Francis.
Jerry, I'd like to speak to you immediately following this auction. Outside the church social rooms.
So would I, Jerry.
Whatever for?
Oh, no, you don't. Jerry's my date for the evening, and he's staying with me. Go on, Carmen.
What am I bid for this handsome shoebox? A box of
You stand there watching the lunches being auctioned off, and you think of the years behind this particular tradition, of the boxes that were auctioned off in the early days as the frontier moved westward. You think of the romances that have started over the homemade jelly rolls, and the children of those romances who have carried on the tradition. And you think, the old customs are a lovely part of the American scene, the church socials and the potluck suppers, the community games and singing, and that wonderful spirit of laughter and fun and sharing with your neighbor. So it was during the old days in America, is during the present, and will be through all future times to come.
The church socials. How well I remember you girls looking lovely in those flouncy summer frocks, all gaily chatting and giggling.
Why, Toby, can't you remember the fellows? All standing in line waiting for seconds of angel food and coffee?
A happy reminder, Francis. For like the friendly atmosphere of a church social, Maxwell House coffee also belongs to this American scene. Americans love good coffee. It's our national drink. Now, that's why I stress this fact. Today, with over 1,000 coffee brands to choose from, more people buy and enjoy Maxwell House than any other brand of coffee at any price. The answer to this overwhelming popularity is flavor. That good to the last drop Maxwell House flavor that comes from the skillful blending of choice Latin American coffees, radiant roasted to flavor perfection. Yes, Maxwell House means flavor and value, too. For with all this extra coffee goodness, Maxwell House costs but a fraction of a penny more per cup than the cheapest coffee sold. Summer, of course, is the time for iced coffee, and icing is the severest test of coffee flavor. But that famous Maxwell House flavor really stands up to bring you a glorious warm weather drink. So, iced or hot, be sure you get Maxwell House. Always good to the last drop. Now music blended to a mood that's soft and low down. Francis Langford, the Maxwell House Choir and Orchestra, and Eloise bring you some of the great blues songs of the American scene.
My mama done told me when I was in knee pants. My mama done told me a woman will sweet talk and give you the big eye. But when the sweet talking's done, a woman's a two-faced, a worrisome thing who'll leave you to sing the blues in the night. Now the rains are falling here, the rain are falling away. My mama done told me, hear that lonesome whistle blow across the tranquil way. My mama done told me, a-hooey, da-hooey, oh, clinkety-clacks a-echoing back the blues in the night. I hear your big song, I see your big eyes, but my mama was right, said blues in the night.
done left this town. St. Louis woman with a diamond ring. She pulled that man round by her apron string.
Yes, you do that, you do. One for the powder and for that store-bought pen.
That man I love, he wouldn't have gone nowhere. Got the St. Louis blues, just as blue as I can be. That man got a heart like a rock cast in the sea.
That man got a heart like a rock.
Or else he wouldn't have gone so far from me.
Don't have my feet like I got St. Louis blues. Don't have, got St. Louis blues. St. Louis blues.
I love my baby. I love my baby. I still love you. Francis Langford inviting you to be with us again next week at Maxwell House Coffee Time when Eloise, Carmen Dragon, Toby Reed, the orchestra, the choir, and yours truly will return with some of your favorite songs, another vista of the American scene, and of course some words and music about Maxwell House. Join us then and make your enjoyment doubly complete by listening over your cups of Maxwell House. Always good to the last drop.
And now until next Thursday, good night and good luck from the makers of Maxwell House, America's #1 preferred brand of coffee. Always good to the last drop.
Just a taste of Jello pudding, and believe me, you will know.
They're good, they're swell, and Jell-O puddings are back at your grocer's right now. Jell-O puddings with that rich, distinctive homemade goodness. Flavor that's best by your own taste test. Jell-O chocolate pudding, Jell-O butterscotch pudding, Jell-O vanilla pudding. They're made with milk and nourishing. They cook in just about 5 minutes. That's Jell-O puddings. You never tasted anything better. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.